And good morning. It is a Thursday edition of the program, Glenn Clark Radio. I'm Glenn. He's Griffin. If you need a trophy or award that's as unique as the achievement, then look no further than Crown Trophy. With locations in Owings Mills and Gaithersburg, they specialize in custom trophies, plaques, and medals for any occasion. From sports and academic awards to employee recognition and corporate gifts, visit crowntrophy.com today and let them help you create a lasting memory for your school, team, or business. Crown Trophy is a proud supporter of the Maryland Public Secondary Schools Athletic Association. Find them at crowntrophy.com. Coming up on the program today, Aaron Schatz. Yes, I know when you hear that name, you're still angry because he's the only guy that didn't vote Lamar Jackson as MVP last season. But he might be leading the campaign for Lamar Jackson to be MVP this season. We'll talk to Aaron Schatz. Jeff Chadiha, NFL.com, NFL Network. Get a little deeper into Ravens Commanders coming up on Sunday. Make some picks with our guy KZ. Segment number 2 of the Arthur Maulet Show with Justice Hill. All of that on the way during the course of the program. Disappointing night for those of us rooting against evil empires. Those of us that were just like, I'm going to sit down and watch some baseball tonight. Maybe the Dodgers will get eliminated. Maybe everybody just needs to start. Maybe we just need to accept that it's time to abandon starting pitching. Maybe that's the real lesson. That what we're learning, and I remember the infancy of like the Rays doing the bullpenning thing, how many analytics people were just like, yeah, you realize it's the same number of innings no matter how you get there, right? Like, you understand that whether you have one guy soak up 5 or 6 per start or a lot of guys soak up 2 every other day, it's the same number of innings one way or the other. Maybe that's the lesson. So, yeah, that was a bummer. Obviously, the Yankees, that was a bummer. Game 5 in the NLCS, or the NLDS, will be Friday night, with the winner, of course, advancing to face the Mets. Poor Buck Showalter, man. God, I feel for that guy. And part of it is I really like him, and I know he's a hell of a manager. But, like, dude, every team, except for the Orioles, finding success, like, immediately afterwards, it is just brutal. Because it really does make it look like he's at fault. And there's just no reasonable way to make that argument. It sucks, man. It sucks. But, yeah, the Mets are a wild story. They look like they were a money laundering scheme at the beginning of the season. And obviously, as it turns out, they ended up being a pretty good baseball team. Pretty good baseball team. Maybe not a decent football team, but really good baseball team. So they're on to the NLCS. They'll await the winner of Game 5 between the Dodgers and Padres on Friday night. I guess the Padres do get to throw Yu Darvish in Game 5, so they have that going for them, which is nice. And the Dodgers, is it going to be Yamamoto that they're going to throw? I think they were choosing between Yamamoto and Flaherty, and I think the expectation is it would be Yamamoto. So, yeah, that's pretty compelling, right? Yamamoto and Darvish on a Friday night. Yeah. It bumps Maryland gets the old heave-ho. I got to be honest with you, I could not understand why that would be a Fox game.
What, Maryland Northwestern?
Yeah.
Well, it's because, I don't know.
They're
doing like...
It's more or less because, like, they have to have a game, and so this was just the game. And
well, they thought Maryland would be good.
I think what they normally do most weeks is they have a Fox game and an FS1 game. And so if they get to that point, they could flip-flop the two and say, okay, the FS1 game is better than the Fox game, so we'll just put that on. But this week, because they knew there was the chance of baseball, then they didn't really have that option. I don't know, dog. But, yeah, Maryland Northwestern moves over to Fox Sports 1 because Dodgers-Padres Game 5 will be on Fox, and then Game 1 of the NLCS will be on Sunday. And, yeah, the two ALCS continue today with Game 4, with both the Tigers and Yankees having the opportunities to close out their series. And the Tigers with the trump card of knowing that if they don't win Game 4, they could turn around and throw Tarek Skubal again on Saturday in Game 5. So they've got a bit of an upper hand at this point, trying to close that out. If there are Game 5s, those will be on Saturday. And then Game 1 of the ALCS will be on Monday. So that's the deal. That's the deal, deal. I'm not thrilled. Like if it ends up being Mets Dodgers, I get that like the Mets are scrappy, but that's still New York that we're talking about. Like you can't really sell me on them being underdogs. Like this is still a billionaire owner that was willing to invest a boatload of money into the baseball team. I guess that they're the lesser of two evils, but for me to like embrace them as a rooting interest, no, not a chance. The Padres, obviously, if they win Game 5, would be, but like if it's Mets Dodgers, there is not a rooting interest to be had.
I mean, Ohtani's cool, so.
Yeah, it's never gonna get me. You're never gonna get me to root for one of these teams that just, hey, we spent $1 billion.
I mean,
Look how good.
That,
You're never gonna get
they
me.
have Ohtani.
So what?
So he's
that
the
doesn't
greatest
mean
baseball
anything.
player I've ever seen.
I don't care. Aaron Judge is pretty good too. I don't
want to
care.
watch Aaron Judge.
Yeah, okay. I don't.
He strikes out a lot in the postseason.
There you go. That means he must be cheeks then.
Yeah.
Just
well,
cheeks.
I mean, that's kind of
like obviously the Tigers would be an embraceable story.
He is not Mr. October.
No, he certainly is not. But Giancarlo Stanton was last night. The Tigers would be an embraceable story if they move on. What's happened to the Guardians, man? Like just not being able to score a run. They look like the Orioles the last couple of games. Just nothing. Nothing doing whatsoever offensively. But they still have time to try to salvage that and move on. So, yeah, that's what's going on in the playoffs as the ALCS continues tonight. The story of the day yesterday in Baltimore was prodigal son coming home. The great Dean Pease is back. We're very fired up. I get that this is where we are now that the Orioles. We don't have Orioles games we're back into the place where all week we don't have another football game to talk about. So we either do something absurd like try to spend a week on is Lamar Jackson the greatest quarterback in the history of the solar system, or we're scratching on anything that might be remotely related to news. Like for example, the trade deadline will drive us for a couple of weeks. That will be the case. Now, we'll probably end up being disappointed because this isn't like baseball where you're kind of guaranteed that the team's going to make some sort of move. We could talk about this for weeks, and the Ravens might not make any move at all. But we're still going to talk about it and look at what credibly is out there and discuss what might be good for the team. And yeah, it might end up proving to be boring. It might be like that they look at it and say, we could just use some offensive line depth. Like their biggest trade might be a 7th rounder for an offensive lineman you've never heard of. That's just them bringing in one more body in case somebody gets hurt. It might be more defensive tackle depth, and you're just like, great, cool. It might not be exciting or sexy at all. The likelihood that it's going to be one of the names that we talked about, Hassan Reddick, Davante Adams, Amari Cooper, I would say is slim. It's slim that it's going to be one of those big names. Buda Baker. Like, I don't think that's going to happen. But a lot of us didn't think other trades were going to happen. Like, none of us saw Marcus Peters coming, even at the time that they traded for Yannick Ngakoue the first time. Like, I don't think we all really saw that coming. We're going to talk about it because it is plausible that a move could be made. And I do think the context of this year mattering, there being, and that might be the more fascinating part. It might very well be that internally they don't think John Harbaugh's under a microscope. They don't think there's a Super Bowl or bust feeling about this team. They think they have something that's built and sustainable and they can ride with for years to come. And so if it just doesn't happen again this year, they think they're going to be right back in the same spot next year. And by the way, as much as you would be pissed off hearing that, that might be the smartest way of thinking. But it feels like this group should be a little more under the microscope. You are now 6 full years into Lamar Jackson. You're in year number 7, so you get to the end of the year and you haven't reached the Super Bowl again. You come up short in the playoffs again. It does feel like that conversation is at least warranted. And so because of that, it feels like this season should be elevated. We talked about this with the Orioles, and, hey, you got Corbin Burns for 1 year. This year needs to matter a little bit more. You made that move. Also worth pointing out, as we have a couple of times with John Harbaugh's contract being up after next year, you don't like the idea of him going in as a lame duck. It feels like this year should matter in an elevated way, which doesn't always mean confetti or bust. It just means there should be a willingness to maybe do things that you haven't done in the past. Comparison, Connor Orr yesterday brought up a comparison to the 49ers and their willingness to be all in. And somebody would turn around and say, well, they don't have a Super Bowl to show for it. And also, how's that Christian McCaffrey thing looking right now? Which I'm not writing off Christian McCaffrey by any stretch of the imagination, but the inherent risk that comes with trading away assets for established NFL players in a sport where there is significant injury volatility is undoubtedly a major part of the equation. Now, some of the guys that we've been talking about related to the deadline, like a Reddick, a Cooper, those guys you would be acknowledging that you're looking for a rental piece. That said, Roquan Smith maybe felt like a potential rental piece once upon a time. They didn't feel that way. They locked him up. Worked out pretty all right for them. Point being, it just feels like this year should matter in a way that makes you a bit more aggressive. Because you're reaching the point where you might be 7 years in and not a ton to show for it. Closing that gap, proving that you can get over the hump that is the Kansas City Chiefs, those things feel like they should be more significant and should lead to an additional amount of aggressiveness. So we'll talk a lot about the trade deadline and every name that gets popped up. And I thought Connor Orr also made a good point yesterday about the fact that even still a few weeks away, the nature of the NFL is it's really hard to figure out who the teams are that are sellers. There isn't really an obvious, like, Chicago White Sox to be found. You could say, well, look at the teams that are bad. The Jacksonville Jaguars still have a young quarterback. Like, are they looking to move pieces away? This is the tough part about the NFL deadline in particular. You're not likely to find NFL teams that are signing up for 2-year rebuilds. So you really do get almost specifically into a place where you're looking for teams that have pending free agents they haven't signed. And do they feel like they can get something more for you than they would get in compensatory formula if you lose that player in free agency? That's what we got so far. Or unique circumstances. Somebody's frustrated, Davante Adams, something like that. The Dean Pease story from yesterday is largely nothing. I mean, largely. If you want to put it in the context of this is them acknowledging that it's not working with Zach Orr, fine. Say whatever the heck you want to say. I don't care. Is it that? No idea. It might very well be that if this defense was kicking ass for the first 5 weeks of the season, but Zach Orr was talking to Dean Pease every day, they might still say, dude, why doesn't he just come into the building? Like, why not just have him here? If he's helping, if he's consulting you, why not get him in a place where he can see the team a little bit more? You can feel however you want to feel about it. It's fine. I don't think it can hurt. I can't tell you that it's going to help. I have no idea. Again, the word is that he's been mentoring Zach Orr anyway. So, I mean, if that's the case, somebody would say, hi, that's not working. But I don't think it can be a bad thing. I also don't think in any way it's them like neutering Zach Orr or saying, oh, you're a failure. This is the real defensive coordinator. I poked around. Yeah, nothing like that. Really as simple as this is somebody that he's been talking to regularly. He's been having conversations with. He's been consulting about how his transition into being defensive coordinator. Everything good over there?
Yes.
Okay. Remember, on third, we can't do the thing where we are doing another show. Like, I appreciate whatever it is that you're doing. I'm sure it's related somehow. But we got to be engaged and involved. That's how we do this. There's got to be a happy medium between guest don't post Griffin, and I think we got to find whatever that medium is between those two things. One of these days we're going to nail it. That's again, always a promise. Always a promise I make that one of these days we're going to nail it. And when we do, then the show will end. That's just the way that it goes. The moment that we get it all figured out, that's going to be the moment that it ends. But again, the moral of the story being, this is simply a talking to him anyway, why not have him here? And that makes sense. That's logical. Like, truly logical. And what I would say is that if they felt like change was necessary, I can't even fathom that. If they felt like,
well, Woody Johnson did it, so
yeah, but that's with the head coach. It's very different. I'm trying to think of even who would be on the staff that would be this is absurd. It's absurd. It's absurd to suggest that it's anything other than just adding to something. It's absurd to think that it is them saying that this is a failure. Zach Orr can't do this. Stop.
It's been 5 weeks, and the guy is 32, 33. Like,
well,
it's
and on top of that, we're looking at the run defense is really good, like the best. It's one area that's problematic, and how do you solve that? And again, depending on who you talk to, you get a lot of different opinions about why that might be the case. It's easy for us to say, oh, it's Zach Orr, it's the scheme. Or it might just be the players. Sometimes it really is that simple. Sometimes it really is, as a lot of us think, Marcus Williams ain't playing at a level that's good enough. Sometimes it really is communication. Sometimes it really is just what's happening on the field. And I'm still not even panicked about it. I don't think that this defense is as bad as some of those numbers suggest the pass defense. Again, the run defense is very good. I don't think the pass defense is as bad as some of the numbers bear it out to be. But you want to bring in Dean Pease? Bring in Dean Pease. Bring in 6 of these guys. I don't care. Like, this is not my what. I mean, I don't know. At some point, maybe there's too many voices there. But somebody that Zach Orr respects, appreciates, is a mentor for anyway.
Bring back Rex Ryan.
Bring them all. Bring them all in. Get their opinions. Do whatever you want to do, man. More eyeballs, sure, whatever. I don't care. I just don't think that can hurt, nor do I think it's that significant of a story. More notable will be there were a lot of players that were not on the practice field yesterday. John Harbaugh was dismissive of that after he was like, that's just, day after game type of stuff. Well, I'm like, well, the day after the game is Monday. This is 3 days after the game. Now, for some of those guys, like Ronnie Stanley gets a lot of veteran days, so it's not all that stunning. But like Rashad Bateman, to my knowledge, has not gotten a ton of veteran days over the years. So that one, and of course the one is Marlon Humphrey that you're more concerned about because Marlon Humphrey was in a boot after the game. So today becomes a far more interesting day. If John Harbaugh's just trying to say, hey, that's day after game stuff, well, where you at 4 days after the game? And if any of those guys aren't on the practice field again today, then I think it becomes more of a story at that point. But we will monitor that as it comes up. All right, that's the deal. That's what matters. We're going to talk to Aaron Schatz here in just 1 second. Today's show also brought to you by Project Game Day, of course. Baltimore, Washington coming up Sunday, and immediately after the game, come hang out with us, PressBoxOnline.com/gameday for Project Game Day. Myself, Rita, Femi Ayanbadejo, Andrew Stecca, KZ, maybe even a cameo from our buddy Josh Charles. Come hang out with us. React to everything. If you want to chime in, we'll link up the Zoom so that you can jump in with us as well. You just want to react in the comments, we'll get to you. We'll talk about it. We'll dissect everything there is to dissect from whatever happens Sunday between Baltimore and Washington. It's all brought to you by BetYard AI, the Maryland 5-star, the Green Turtle Bet Park Sportsbooks in Towson and Canton. Easy Pass, and also 1-800-GAMBLER. Project Game Day, every game day, PressBoxOnline.com/gameday is where you find it. We look forward to hanging out with you this Sunday after Baltimore, Washington. So I saw a tweet after the last Ravens game that gave me a little bit of a chuckle because I know every time I bring this guy on, and I'm a fan, I think everybody knows that, somebody, one of you, gets mad at me like, he didn't vote Lamar as MVP last year. You're just never going to get me to care about that. You never will. That day will never come. But it made me get a bit of a chuckle, and I'm sure that was part of the reason why he thought to send out a certain tweet that he sent this week about perhaps Lamar Jackson maybe being the MVP of the league this season. Joining us now, great guy, of course, one of the forefathers of football analytics, now with FTN Fantasy. He is our friend, Mr. Aaron Schatz, and he's back with us now here on GCR. Aaron, it's Glenn. It's always great to catch up. Thank you so much for taking a couple of minutes for us this morning.
Hey, as always, thank you so much for having me on. Love to talk football.
Man, I did you purposely try to get everybody when you sent out this tweet, as I noted yesterday, I thought Jayden Daniels would lead all quarterbacks in DYAR after yesterday. I was wrong. Lamar Jackson leads all quarterbacks in both passing and rushing DYAR. Lamar Jackson is, dare I say it, the early leader for MVP. Did you expect that Ravens fans were going to have some fun with that?
Sure. I mean, I was having some fun with them. I mean, it's too early to talk
Obviously.
about MVP, right? Like, I mean, it's just, we're looking for things to talk about. But, I mean, if you want to say, like, who has been the best player through 5 weeks of the season? Lamar Jackson has been the best player through 5 weeks of the season. He's playing better than last year.
What is it? So, Aaron, you know what's really interesting to me, and it's not you, but I've heard from other folks around the league that say, hey, the one thing about Lamar is just we never know what it's going to look like in these pure passing situations. And I always scratch my head about that and say, like, well, isn't it a testament to him that they're so rarely in situations where they have to throw the ball so much? But we have seen it before. Like we saw it on the Monday night game against the Colts when they had to come for it. It's not like we've never seen it. But is there something that resonates differently when it comes in the fashion that it did last Sunday where, okay, the run game is largely taken away, you've got to throw the football, and Lamar Jackson reminds everybody, oh, yeah, I'm still pretty good at that too.
And he's a pretty good pocket passer. I think people believe that because Lamar Jackson likes to get out of the pocket and run around, that he's not a good pocket passer, but he is a good pocket passer. He doesn't really run, like once he scrambles, he goes. He doesn't throw on the run as much as, say, someone like Jayden Daniels, right?
Mm-hmm.
They're going to play this week. Jayden Daniels is much more of a throw on the run guy. Jackson is much more of a pocket passer. But what really matters this year is he's really lowered the negative plays. He's only taken 5 sacks. He's only thrown 1 interception. That's just a tremendous performance.
That is obviously he'd point out the fumble at the end of the game last week as being a negative play, but it's even hard to put that entirely on him because clearly he and his center were on the same page in that spot, and that led to it. I guess the other thing about it is it's this sort of superhero moments, right? And I don't know how we define that. I don't know if you have a number that can define, like, when is there some way to put into context? We talk about it as him putting the cape on, right? Like I don't know what to say about it, but there are just moments when we watch this guy play where it seems like you're watching Michael Jordan against the Utah Jazz or something like that.
Yeah, we chart something that's like called highlight throws or something like that. I don't have the number in front of me of where Jackson stands in that this year or where he stood last year, but I mean, he definitely makes those plays, right? He makes those incredible plays, but the thing is, Jackson also makes a lot of the regular plays, like the run-of-the-mill plays that are in between the highlights. That's the problem with a guy like Justin Fields. Not as much this year, but in his first 3 years, Fields had those highlight Superman plays too. But the run-of-the-mill plays were bad.
Right.
When Jackson's run-of-the-mill plays are good. Plus, he has the highlights.
No, and by the way, it's funny because like there were other moments from the last couple of weeks where some of the best highlights were just incomplete passes, like the most absurd things that he was able to do to just get away and avoid a sack and throw the ball away and live to fight another day, which is something that it's really hard to quantify. I think the other
like I said, only 5 sacks. Only 5 sacks because he's getting the ball away in those pressure situations instead of losing yards.
Or a 3-yard run that like doesn't seem all that remarkable until you remember that's a positive play in a situation where it could have been a negative play.
That's right. Yep.
Aaron Schatz is with us here on GCR. Aaron, this offense as a whole, how truly good is this? Obviously, we didn't get to see as much of Derrick Henry last week as the Ravens got out of the ability to keep the ball on the ground because of their defensive issues. But has this offense on the whole been as good and as unstoppable, whatever you want to call it, as we wondered it might be the moment you put Lamar Jackson and Derrick Henry together in a backfield?
Yes, it has been. It absolutely has been. By our DVOA numbers, Baltimore is the number 1 offense in the league. They are number 1 passing and number 1 running.
That seems good.
Yeah. I mean, like I don't have a long explanation of like they've been really good at everything this year. Like this offense is just kicking on all cylinders. Everything is working except Mark Andrews for some reason.
Right.
But other than that, everything is working. I don't know if that'll continue for the whole year, if they'll be the number 1 offense for the whole year, but right now they are the number 1 offense pretty clearly. I know there are some other numbers out there that'll have Washington number 1. We have Washington number 3. Washington is a really good offense too, but when you filter out a lot of the luck, like Washington hasn't had interceptions and they've recovered their own fumbles and they've had some good luck. When you filter that stuff out, we have Baltimore as the best offense.
So it's interesting to me you brought up Mark Andrews. It almost feels like they've replaced Mark Andrews with this 3-headed tight end monster that is maybe even more dangerous than just one Mark Andrews.
Yeah, well, there's a lot of the 2 tight end sets.
Yeah.
I mean, if Charlie Kohler is a guy they can actually throw to instead of just a blocker, right? That's a new dimension. So, yeah, I mean, it's a bummer for fantasy people, but it seems to be working pretty well for the Ravens.
Aaron, you referenced, because I was looking at DVOA earlier today, and I saw that the Ravens were 2nd overall behind just Minnesota, but what really jumped out at me is that they're 2nd overall despite having the 14th ranked DVOA defense. And I wonder, and like I know ESPN has their own thing with FPI. Is there something about like the offense is more important than the defense is? Like how do in terms of overall DVOA and construction of why the Ravens are number 2 despite the defense being so poor? Is it just the offense is that good, it's that much better than everybody else? Or is it an indicator that like the weight of defense is a little bit lesser than the weight of offense?
It's not that the weight of defense is different. It's that the range of defense is different. In a typical year, the best offenses will be better than the best defenses, and the worst offenses will be worse than the worst defenses. This is not a typical year because the Minnesota defense has been so good this year.
Yeah.
But except for if you look at the scales and you take out the 2 outliers, which are the Minnesota defense and the Cleveland offense, which has been horrendous, you still end up with a wider range. Offense ends up being stronger than defense. If you look at the sort of range of quality of units, what you end up with in football is that a football team's performance is about 4 parts offense, 3 parts defense, and 1 part special teams.
So I ask this way then. Would you, knowing what you know, would you rather be the Baltimore Ravens or would you rather be the Minnesota Vikings with this unfathomably, outrageous defense?
You would rather be the Ravens because offense is more consistent and easier to predict than defense. And the other reason you would rather be the Ravens is because our knowledge is more than just the first 5 games of the season.
Sure.
We have knowledge of what came before, right? And our knowledge of what came before suggests that while the Baltimore offense may not be this good all season, the Baltimore defense is likely to be better than this.
Sure.
Right? So that, if their offense falls off a little bit, the defense is likely to improve to make up for that.
Aaron, you bring that up because I have wondered, like, how can a team be the number 2 DVOA overall team when the pass defense is so bad, right? And maybe it's
not.
Okay.
It's average.
Okay.
It's actually very average. I know that seems like a shock, but if you look at efficiency on a per-play basis
take away,
and you adjust for schedule, adjust for schedule is really important, then they are an average pass defense. If you don't adjust for schedule, they are a bad pass defense. But if you adjust for the schedule so far, they're an average pass defense and a very strong run defense.
Is that? I guess that's the weight of like the Kansas City and Cincinnati games in particular. That's making that significant.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, Kansas City, Cincinnati. Cincinnati's offense, despite the fact that they're 1-4,
right.
Cincinnati's passing game has been very good this year.
Oh, I've been asking a lot of people this question this week, Aaron. I think it's a good one to give to you. Who is the bigger threat to the Ravens in the AFC North? The 3-2 Steelers or the 1-4 Cincinnati Bengals?
I mean, I think that it's the Steelers because they have a 2-game lead. If you ask me who is a bigger threat in a single game, then I would say the Bengals. I think the Bengals are a better team than the Steelers. But I think that the fact is that 2-game lead for the Steelers matters, although the Bengals' remaining schedule is very easy.
Right.
In our playoff odds simulation, we currently have the Ravens winning the division 80% of the time because they've been so good this year. We have Pittsburgh at 12 and Cincinnati at 7.
That sounds.
So Pittsburgh is the bigger competitor.
Okay, I get all. I don't know. Maybe this is just my bias towards offense, right? Like Aaron, that I just give me the team with the quarterback and give me that team every time. And I know it's not that simple. And somebody would say, "Have you watched the Chargers the last couple of years?" Right? Like I know it's not.
It's 2-game lead. It's because Pittsburgh has a 2-game lead. Like if they had the same record, there's no question Cincinnati is more dangerous.
So let me go back to something, because as good as this offense is, Aaron, there's been a lot of conversation. And look, everybody's going to talk about Davante Adams because when a player like that is perceived to be available, it's very exciting for anybody. But there has been a lot of talk about, hey, if the Ravens, if this year matters, given their their shortcomings in the playoffs the last few years, then maybe they do want to be aggressive at the deadline. And we have certainly seen them be aggressive at the deadline the last few years and make moves like Roquan Smith that worked out pretty well. Should we be ignoring, should we be saying, look, the offense is really good, why would you mess with that? Or can that only be aided by adding in another, whether it's a Davante Adams and Amari Cooper, something along those lines?
No, it can only be aided. I mean, I know they like to run 2 tight end a lot, right? So the need for a third receiver. But if you get Cooper or Adams, especially Adams, you're really bumping Bateman down, right? Bateman becomes the third receiver. So you're improving yourself both at the number 1 spot. You're improving yourself at every spot. If you get Adams, now you're better at the 1, you're better at 2, and you're better at 3 with Bateman now as 3. So it's really would be a big improvement.
Yeah, I'm still it's a weird thing where I know people will say something like, well, why rock the boat, right? When something's working, why do anything? Why add any volatility to something that's working? And my first thought is always like, well, players get hurt after the deadline, right? That there are injuries that come up in November and December when you don't have the ability to make a trade in order to fix it. It seems like rocking the boat, I don't even know what to make of that. I don't even know if that's a strong argument.
I mean, because you filter a guy in, right? Let's say you trade for Davante Adams.
Yeah.
Give him a week to learn the playbook. Use him a little bit. Give him another week to learn a little bit more. Use him a little bit more. It's not like you're all of a sudden going to put in Davante Adams for 80 snaps the first week you trade for him, and he doesn't know the playbook, and he can only run 2 routes, and his timing with Jackson is non-existent, right? You're going to filter him in gradually. And by the time you get to the meat of the season in November and December, he'll know what he's doing. Jackson will have worked with him. It gives you insurance against a wide receiver or tight end injury. This is a team that should do it. You talk about what people in New England were like, should we go get Davante Adams to help our young quarterback?
What?
And the answer is no.
Right, that's nuts.
No, you shouldn't do that because you're building for the future. The Ravens are a team that's trying to win now. This is a team that should do this.
Would you prioritize an offensive weapon over trying, like, if they could only make one move, right? And I know that I'm creating a fantasy talk radio scenario, Aaron. You know, hey, that's what I do for a living, right? So here we are. But if it could only be one, would you prioritize an offensive playmaker over, you know, maybe an edge rusher or some help in the secondary because of our that mediocre level of pass defense?
That's an interesting question. And I think the issue is that you're not going to get an edge rusher or piece in the secondary that is as good as Davante Adams.
Okay.
Right? I don't know what edge rushers and secondary pieces are going to be available.
Again, like this is purely hypothetical.
I'm sitting here thinking, like, right?
Yeah, is
like,
there a world?
Are they better than Cooper? I don't know, but they're definitely. You're not going to get. Adams is the best improvement that you can get right now.
As a football
he is the
team.
best guy on the market that you can use to improve your team.
Well, and you're blocking another team that you might be competing against, like, you know, the Kansas City Chiefs, from ending up with.
Well, I mean, Al Davis would roll over in
That's
his
true.
grave.
That is a good point.
Okay, the Steelers.
Yeah.
The Steelers, the Bills make more sense.
Sure.
Like I can't imagine the Raiders are going to
trading in the division, that would be very difficult to do. That would be tough. I guess just for the fun of it, the hypothetical would be like if Hassan Reddick for some reason was willing to finish a year in Baltimore instead of in New York. And I don't know why that would be the case. That would seem insane, but like that would maybe be the comparison that I would look to make.
I honestly would rather have Adams.
Okay. All right.
Hassan Reddick is a very good player.
Yeah.
And more pass rush would be good. I'll tell you what, though, like we have a stat that I use that's defense against receivers. So it takes out sacks and throwaways. And the Ravens are much better in pass defense overall than they are in defense against receivers. So I think the issue is coverage more than it is pass rush.
That is interesting. And look, we know the Ravens have no problem trying to find another cornerback, even when it looks like they have a lot of cornerbacks. That is something they're willing to do. Aaron, this is always great, man. I know it's at @AShots NFL on Twitter, and, of course, FTNFantasy.com. Anything else specifically that we can plug for you?
No, just lots of content on the DVOA page, which is FTNFantasy.com/DVOA. There was a good article about Derrick Henry that we ran last week that you can still find on there. I think that ran on Friday by Brian Knowles. So if you want some good Derrick Henry data, we got some.
We always enjoy Derrick Henry data. That's been a lot of fun for us. Aaron, thank you, man. Really appreciate you doing this. Would love to chat again real soon, all right?
Absolutely. Enjoy more weeks, and we'll talk later in the season.
Thanks, buddy. Aaron Schatz with us here on GCR. I do appreciate the way that he talks about, like, the idea of being aggressive, which is, no, you're the team that should be doing this. And I, again, generically agree. It becomes more complicated when you're talking about, like, what the price is, and I was the guy that was screaming about Julio Jones a few years ago when the Titans ended up making the move, and boy, did I have egg on my face, right? And like that was a disaster. But I do appreciate the thought in general of, try to be the team that makes the aggressive move. You're the one. Close the gap. And it's easy to say that and not as easy to do it because, again, there's a cost that comes with that. But I think you're deep enough into this at this point that the time is here to prioritize being aggressive. Not reckless, aggressive. And I know they've been aggressive before. Roquan Smith was an aggressive move. But it was an aggressive move made with thought of, hey, we're definitely going to try to sign him, and we don't think we're renting a piece, and so the price is worth it to us. It might be that the price needs to be worth it even if you're not going to sign the player because it's about saying this year matters. This year, we got to try to get this done. Today's show It's actually also brought to you by Live Casino and Hotel Maryland. Griffin, what's going on at Live Casino and Hotel?
Every time that Baltimore or Washington's football team score a touchdown during their home games this season,
Like
Live
this
Rewards.
Sunday, for example.
Yes, exactly. This Sunday, Baltimore is home. So if Live Rewards members get down to Live Casino, they get $7 in free slot play. I have to have your Live Rewards card inserted correctly into the slot machine, any slot machine on the floor. Be actively playing in order to receive your prize. And once they score, $7 in free slot play. Adirondack Mills must be 21. Please play responsibly. For help, visit mdgamblinghelp.org or call 1-800-GAMBLER.
All right, we're going to catch up with Jeff Chadiha in just 1 second here as we continue along on a Thursday. Oh, we can take a break?
Yes, we can.
Oh, I had my timing wrong. Then we'll do that. We'll take a break, and then we'll chat with Jeff Chadiha. That's on the way. It is a Thursday edition of Glenn Clark Radio. Brace yourselves for an unparalleled in-person betting experience at the Green Turtle Bet Park Sportsbook and Bars in Canton and Towson. Experience the thrill of live betting with Baltimore's only state-of-the-art Vegas viewing TV experience. Choose between our on-site tellers or the convenience of our self-bet kiosks to place your bets. Gather your betting buddies and head over to the Green Turtle Bet Park Sportsbooks today. Green Turtle Bet Park Sportsbooks in Towson and Canton. The ultimate destination for game day excitement, great food, and live in-person betting. Must be 21. Please play responsibly. Gambling problem? Go to mdgamblinghelp.org.
Hey Baltimore, it's number 10, Arthur Maulet, and I'm hoping you'll slot us in all season long for the Arthur Maulet Show. We will be traveling around the region all season, giving you the chance to get to know me and my teammates. There will be some football talk and a lot more. You can watch this show live on Pressbox's Facebook and YouTube pages and listen every Friday night on 105.7 The Fan. Find out more at pressboxonline.com/Maulet. The Arthur Maulet Show, the only show in town that's a work of art.
The next Arthur Maulet Show is Wednesday, October 23rd at the Gourmet inside the shops at Kenilworth. It's brought to you by 1-800-GAMBLER and Easy Pass.
Whether your focus is luxury and comfort, convenience and technologically advanced connectivity, or sporty performance and aggressive styling, we've got the perfect Highlander for you. Check out buyatoyota.com for deals on new Highlanders from your local Toyota dealer today.
The ultimate fan experience awaits you at Sports and Social Maryland. See how we're raising the sports bar with our massive 100-foot media wall featuring 40 HD TVs and a 47-foot big screen. Bet on your favorite teams and this year's biggest events at the FanDuel Sportsbook while enjoying your favorite beers and cocktails, plus our delicious takes on bar food classics. Visit Sports and Social at Live Casino and Hotel Maryland. Adirondack Mills. Must be 21. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER.
The drug scene in Maryland is changing. Fentanyl and xylazine are being added to street drugs, and you may not even know it. Xylazine is not even intended for humans, and fentanyl is an opioid 50 times stronger than heroin, and contributed to over 80% of overdose deaths in our state. Anyone who uses drugs, even occasionally, is at risk of overdose. To learn more, visit stopoverdose.maryland.gov or call or text 988.
Gambling can be a fun and entertaining experience, but there are risks involved. If you're planning on betting on the game at the casino or on your phone or computer, know your limit, stay within it. Set a budget and a time to stop. Remember, gambling isn't a financial solution, and it doesn't mix well with alcohol or drugs. Know the risks and have a plan before you begin gambling. For free and confidential services, call 1-800-GAMBLER 24/7 or go to helpmygamblingproblem.org.
Driving in Maryland? Did you know an Easy Pass from driveeasymd.com can save you time and money? Of course you did, because you are a thrifty driver. An antenna reads your Easy Pass transponder and automatically deducts the toll from your Easy Pass account. There, you just saved money with Easy Pass, all without slowing or receiving a notice in the mail. Well done, thrifty driver, well done. Get your Easy Pass at driveeasymd.com.
Contrary to what some people believe, I actually like this guy when he sleeps. Glenn Clark, talking sports.
All right, back in here on GCR as we continue along on a Thursday edition of the program. Final days for you to get this print issue with Kyle Hamilton on the cover, free at your neighborhood Royal Farms, any of the hundreds of locations around town where you find Pressbox. And coming next week, a new print issue of Pressbox with a college hoops theme. I think when Stan is here tomorrow, he's going to tell you a little bit more about that. But a new print issue of Pressbox tomorrow. Not the issue's not coming tomorrow. The details will be coming tomorrow. The issue hitting stands next week. And as always, you can read this one and the next one, PressBoxOnline.com. That's the place to find it. All right, coming up now here on GCR. Always love catching up with our next guest. Try to do it every few weeks during football season. You can read the first read each week at NFL.com, and he really dives into Ravens Commanders, which should be quite juicy this Sunday. He is Jeffrey Chadiha, and he is with us now here on GCR. Jeff, it's Glenn in Baltimore. It's always great to chat with you. Thank you so much for taking the time for us.
Thanks for having me. Always a pleasure, man.
All right, so I got a lot to cover with you, right? But the first is,
yeah,
how in the hell is Lamar only 5th in your MVP poll right now? How is that possible?
Well, he's rising back up. I mean, he started slow. Last week I gave a lot of credit to Derrick Henry for the previous 2 wins. And so, yeah, he played well, but it felt as if I was splitting the baby there. So I had to take Derrick out and put Lamar in. But, look, I think Jayden Daniels deserves to be at the top. That's where he's at. I think Sam Darnold is a strong number 2. And, look, I mean, we can quibble about Josh Allen and C.J. Stroud, but I think they've probably done more up to this point in the season over the course of 5 games than Lamar has, but I think Lamar's going to be rising pretty quickly here.
Can I, for the fun of it, for the sake of argument, it's not even really about Lamar. Can I make an argument against somebody on your list?
Sure.
I love the story of what Sam Darnold is doing in Minnesota, but this goes to me to one of the I think you and I have even had this conversation before. I remember the year that Stephon Diggs showed up in Buffalo, and suddenly Josh Allen was a dramatically different football player, and we weren't allowed to talk about whether or not maybe Stephon Diggs was actually the most valuable player. And I was like, why is this? Why can we not talk about it? I watched the New York Jets attempt to defend Justin Jefferson on Sunday, and they basically just said, just foul him on every play. Whatever you do, just
grab him.
And it's not to take away. It's not to say Sam Darnold still has to make the throws, but this goes back to me like how frustrating it is that we're so hyper focused on quarterbacks that I feel like sometimes we can't see the forest through the trees. Like I can't make an argument that Sam Darnold is the most valuable player on his team. And also, their defense is so ungodly good this season that I don't even know where it would be, and that's what makes it tough for me. I don't like the idea of saying, well, he's the quarterback and he is playing well. It just feels like we know that that's a different apparatus. It's a different operation because of the existence of Justin Jefferson. Why can't we talk about Justin Jefferson in the conversation as being the most valuable player? I know it seems like I'm coming after you. I promise it's not. This is about me. It's not about you, Jeff.
No, trust me. That's the reason he's not number 1 on my list, because there is a lot going on in Minnesota that aids his success. But I do think it's too bad that we don't give non-quarterbacks more credit in the MVP race. I know last year Tyreek Hill was somebody who I thought highly of, and Christian McCaffrey, and they barely registered on that scale. Lamar ended up winning it. But, it's the point I'll make about Sam Darnold that I do think is important is they were really high on J.J. McCarthy coming until he got hurt in training camp. And Sam Darnold was somebody who we did not know what he was going to do for that team. I said they had a lot of talent, but they weren't going to be a playoff caliber team unless the quarterback played well. And so for me, that makes him the most valuable, because if you take him away and you insert whatever quarterbacks they had playing last year after Kirk Cousins got hurt, they're probably a 2-3 team, maybe a 1-4 team. So those same things were there last year when they had quarterback problems and they couldn't get it done. And so for me, that gives Sam Darnold a little bit of a boost. But trust me, I'm not in any way thinking Sam Darnold's going to end the season with the MVP in his hands.
I don't know what it is. Their defense has just been. In fairness, the two things that I hadn't, because again we're so hyper focused on the Ravens here, and like it required me having a window where there was no other game besides the Vikings game to be able to watch. I did not give either their offensive line enough. Their offensive line is insane. Like it is bonkers how good that O-line is. And then the defense, it's to say it's good doesn't begin. We were just talking with Aaron Schatz, and he's like, yeah, it's historically good. I think in DVOA, they're at like a negative 37% on them. Like, that is it's almost otherworldly how good their defense is.
I live in Kansas City, and I've had this debate the last 2 or 3 weeks because the Chiefs are playing good defense, but people are saying they're an elite defense. And I'm like, no, elite is what Minnesota is doing.
Yeah, it's crazy.
You look at the numbers across, they are dominating people. And not just, look, Aaron Rodgers is having a rough year, I get it, but C.J. Stroud, Jordan Love, Brock Purdy, all these guys, either all-pro, Pro Bowl, or, MVP caliber guys, however you want to slice it up, and they've frustrated all those guys. So yeah, there's a different level that Minnesota's playing at defensively.
Just those numbers, the negative 37.1% for Minnesota. The next best defense is the Chargers at 15.9. Like that is insane. How good that defense
next level.
is. All right. I didn't really want to fight with you about that. That's sorry.
We're not really fighting, though.
Yeah, I appreciate you. Jeff, this one on Sunday is a lot of fun. I'm actually a little bit worried by the fact that, like, the spread is 6.5. I just keep thinking, like, is there a world in which somehow we're not giving the Commanders enough credit still? Or I think they're real. Like, I think what's happening is legitimate, and Jayden Daniels was this NFL ready that we can't be all that shocked. And, another guy that took advantage of an extra year, that we can't be all that shocked by how quickly he was able to assimilate.
Yeah, no, he's done a great job, and you're right. Just talking about a guy who literally played against Justin Herbert when he was a freshman in college. That's how long he's been around. And so that experience matters. And the longer you play the position at a high level, the more it's going to help you moving forward. And you're seeing that with Jayden Daniels, just the comfort level. And the athletic ability jumps out at you. The things he can do are obviously special. But just the poise and the savvy and, the eyes downfield when he's scrambling, these are things he wasn't even doing when he was in his second to last year at LSU. Like, he really improved on that stuff in his final season and became a Heisman Trophy-winning quarterback. And so, yeah, I'm really impressed with what they've done with him, with how Cliff Kingsbury has modified the offense to make him comfortable. Now, defensively, they have issues. They've improved, but they've had some tough games and given them a lot of big plays, which is why I think the Ravens probably are favored in that regard. But I certainly think he's going to, again, be special because he's pretty special so far.
Is there any amount to, like, hey, the more teams see, the more they'll be able to adjust? I feel like that it almost feels reminiscent of the conversation that everybody was having about Lamar Jackson early on, right? Like that, everybody can catch him off guard for a few weeks, but just give it a little while, the league will adjust to him. I feel like we're hearing those same things, and maybe because in this city we're so used to hearing those things, I'm like, wait a second. That's the same stuff you said about the other guy, and the league, we're 7 years in, they still haven't figured out a way to adjust to it.
Yeah, and really that comes down to how dynamic you are. I remember talking about Michael Vick years ago when he was playing, and people would talk about, well, he's not a great thrower, but every defender put against it, the way this guy runs, like you can't design stuff for that. Like, once you're out of position, like, he can go 80 yards for you, and that's what separates Lamar Jackson. That's what separates Sky or Josh Allen. They can really make you pay with their legs and take a really great defensive play call and turn it upside down just by being super athletic. And that's what he gives this team. I mean, he's had some, I said it the other day on TV. I said, you talk about, moments determining who wins awards at the end of the season. This guy's had enough highlights to last an entire season through 5 weeks. Like, he's just, and it's not just running around with your head cut off type stuff. It's like run around with your head cut off and then find a guy downfield. It's make a throw with someone in your face to win a game. You have to have a play, and it's just he's phenomenal to watch. I said he's like if Lamar Jackson and Patrick Mahomes had a love child. This is what he'd look like.
That's almost crazy praise, Jeff. That is Jeff Chadiha is with us here on GCR. I do ask this way. It feels like part of the reason why they've been able to have so much success, and this is kind of similar to the Ravens with Lamar, is they are using the run to set everything up, right? Like, they are finding, and that's what we saw from Josh Allen for the first 3 weeks of the season when he looked like he was going to run away as being MVP of the league this year. And then they face the Ravens. The Ravens have this incredible run defense. They take it away, make them one-dimensional. Josh Allen's not the same guy. The Bills aren't the same guy. Is there any element of that that could be dangerous for the Commanders on Sunday, the importance of the run and the Ravens' ability to take them out of it?
No, I think you're spot on, and I would even go so far as to talk about Aaron Rodgers and what not having a run game has made, how that's made him look with the Jets. And so, it is a critical, underrated part of their success. And I say all the time with young quarterbacks especially, you don't want to have them have to take everything on their shoulders. And that's part of what's made him comfortable is having Brian Robinson and having Austin Eckler and having a commitment to that run game, which – an old, really smart football coach a long time ago when I started this business told me something that I've always remembered. He said, the first thing in football, the easiest thing to do in football is to hand it off. Second easiest thing to do is to fake the handoff and throw it. The hardest thing to do is to drop back and throw it. And the more you can rely on the first two things, the better your quarterback plays. And you're seeing that happen with Washington.
Jeff, the other part of your column this week that I think got a lot of Ravens fans excited was you have altered your expectation for the Super Bowl. This despite the fact that the Ravens nearly lost last week, right? Like they could have easily lost on an Evan McPherson overtime kick. It didn't happen. But all of a sudden you've changed and you think that the Ravens have that chance to be that team. Why? I guess the first part is, why have you not once had the Kansas City Chiefs in your Super Bowl expectations? And then two, why have you adjusted to the Ravens?
One, I think three-peat is a really hard thing to do. Obviously, it's never happened in the Super Bowl era. So I think the Chiefs get the Super Bowl. They probably win it. So I'm picking them not to get there. Probably losing the divisional round, I'm guessing, because the farther they go, the harder they become to beat, as you guys saw last year with the Ravens. Yeah. So that's part of it. But the other part is I feel like they finally figured out, like, let's let Derrick Henry do a lot more. Mm-hmm. Like the first couple of games, it was 13 carries, 18 carries. And the last three, it's been, 20-plus carries. And he's made huge runs and really controlled the offense and allowed things to be easier for Lamar Jackson, allowed to let him to open up more of the passing game. You're seeing the tight ends do more things. And so I always felt, even at the end of last year, that they were the best team in the league. They just had a bad game. And so now they're getting back to that. And if they can find, I don't know if it's Rashad Bateman, maybe it seems more like it's Isaiah Likely, but whoever that second receiver is in that offense that can really help Zay Flowers not just be the sole guy defense is focused on the passing game, I think they're going to be beat. They obviously defensively they've had some issues holding leads, but I look around the NFL right now and I see a lot of teams that are at the same level. And as much as people around here love the Chiefs and look at 5-0, I tell them like that 5-0 is not real. It's not sustainable with what they have, with the injuries they have. So to me, it's the Ravens and the Texans are probably the two best teams in the AFC to me, and I think they'll probably end up playing. I think the Ravens, with that experience they have, probably gets them over the top.
Would you, speaking what you just brought up, would you, if you're the Ravens, be compelled to be in on Davante Adams, Amari Cooper, something like that, to try to look at it and say, hey, this needs to be the year? Like we've come up short a few times. Maybe it's time for us to be a bit more aggressive and try to make up that difference.
Oh, yeah, I would for certain. Because you don't know with the contract Lamar signed, how much that's going to affect you salary cap-wise. Derrick Henry's not going to get younger. You were so close last year. And really, you add one more quality receiver. I don't think it would come from the Cleveland Browns being in the same division. But, if you can add one more quality receiver to that offense with what they have already, I don't know. Aside from getting a really good pass rusher, I don't know what else you can do to separate them. I do believe if they played the Chiefs right now, if that game was played as opposed to week one, they would win that game from what they have right now.
You're not – how concerned are you about the pass defense of the Ravens? Like, that's the part that I can't shake, is that I think they're better than this, and I know that part of the numbers is they did face Patrick Mahomes and they just faced Joe Burrow, and then, two of the games they played, teams didn't even bother to try to run the ball in those games, so some of the stats are weighted because of that, but – like, we also, have eyes, and, like, in the second half, until Marlon Humphrey made an interception on Sunday, the Bengals were doing whatever they wanted to do via the air. Like, there was no resistance whatsoever. How concerned are you about the Ravens' pass defense?
Oh, I am. I think it's more about the pass rush, because really that's what makes you better in the secondary, right? I mean, you look at the Minnesota Vikings, and we talked about them earlier. They've got Stephon Gilmore, Byron Murphy, and Shaquille Griffin as their top three corners. one guy, he's a Maryland kid, died in a car crash in the summer, who could have been a prominent player. Another guy tore his knee up. So they're playing with 3 guys who they weren't even expecting to start for them, but they're lights out because the guys up front are all over the passers. and so that to me was what made them tough last year. They really got a lot out of their pass rush, and they scheme it up. They don't rely so much on dominant players like a Nick Bosa or Myles Garrett to get it done, but if they get better in that area, I think that will help the back end look a lot better.
He is Jeff Chadiha. You can follow him on Twitter. It's at Jeffrey Chadiha. That's Jeffrey, JeffreyChadiha. And, of course, we'll link up the first read on our Twitter account at Glenn Clark Radio. Jeff, as always, is there anything we can plug for you besides that?
I'm doing a podcast in the Kansas City area, Red, Gold, and Gold.
My guys,
Red, Gold, and Bold, excuse me.
Yeah, my guy, Seren.
The audience.
Yeah. I always see it pop up on Seren's feed, and I'm like, I love Jeff. I love Seren. This is a podcast that, and then I remember you're talking about the Kansas City Chiefs, and I just say,
Yeah.
You always get like a couple of minutes out of me, and then I say, okay, that's enough. That's enough of that.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Well,
I'm sorry.
Tough year with KC in Baltimore, right? With the Royals and the Orioles, too.
You really want to remind me about that? We were doing so well. Now we're going to fight more about MVP. Now I'm coming after you.
Yeah, I'm a Tigers fan, so I feel good.
Good. Congratulations, man. What a wild. Like, by the way, they're about to be the only team America has left to root for in a second.
That nobody knows. Nobody can name.
Yeah, well, they can name one pitcher. That's exactly what you can do. You can name one pitcher and nobody else on the Tigers roster. But if the Padres lose the Dodgers in Game 5, the entire country becomes Tigers fans really quickly.
Fans, yeah.
That's what we have left. Jeff, always appreciate you, man. Thanks for doing this. Let's talk again real soon, all right?
Yeah, no problem. Always a pleasure, man.
Jeff Chadiha with us, of course, from NFL Network, NFL.com. Appreciate him taking the time. I don't. It's even debating MVP is. It's Aaron Schatz brought that up earlier. It's quite silly. We're 5 weeks into the season. What are we doing? I would actually love to go back and look at like who we thought the MVP would have been after week 5 each year. But the Sam Darnold thing isn't about. I don't want to go war on Sam Darnold. It's that. It's another example of where I do have eyes. And yes, Sam Darnold is playing well. But I can't imagine anyone in Minnesota with a straight face saying that Sam Darnold is the most valuable player on the team. And maybe I'm wrong. Maybe they're that enamored with Sam Darnold. But like somebody who's a reasonable thinking human in Minnesota, I would like to hope, would say, no, we know who the most valuable player is on this team. And that's my problem with it. And by the way, I would be willing to talk about if they continue to have a particularly unique season. I know it's wild because Justin Jefferson's numbers haven't been as eye-popping as like Tyreek Hill's were last season, but so much of that is because, as I just talked about, it's another one of those takes that I have that I'll die on that hill, is that receivers should get credit for the penalty yards that they draw. I've always felt that way. I'll always feel that way. And I don't know, because, again, I didn't watch all of the first 4 games, but I know in the 5th game, the performance of Justin Jefferson would look a lot different if you also counted his penalty yards. I think Sam Darnold, you could bring him up in the conversation, but I'd split. And by the way, his point about Derrick Henry and Lamar Jackson would be interesting too, right? Like, depending on what this season looks like. It's this week we feel like it's Lamar Jackson, but next week, if it's another Derrick Henry game, if it's another 200-yard game from Derrick Henry, we could be sitting here saying, how could it be Lamar? If it's that conversation could be relevant as well, but not after 5 weeks. The one other thing, I see there's a lot of conversation today about what's going on at Tropicana Field. I understand that. It's shocking, right? Like the drone footage that we're now seeing with the sun up, like it is, they are really incredible pictures. A couple of thoughts. First of all, obviously, anybody who may be in Florida or affected or has friends, family affected by the storm in Florida, clearly, like, that part of that is way more important than what happens to a baseball stadium. And that's what makes it tricky. When you spend your time, if today you're spending your time like, hey, can the Rays play at the Trop next year? Then somebody's going to say, dude, what are you doing? Like, human beings died. Why is that something that you're worried about? And they're not wrong. Now, understandably so, that conversation's going to come up, and I don't know the answers. I mean, like, I would think that they can either, if it's a cloth, I know it's not just cloth, but you know what I mean. Like, if it's a cloth roof, you would think that they'd probably be able to replace it. I don't know how quickly you can do that. I don't know if it's an option for them to play just without a roof. And I get that that's a tricky thing to do in Tampa, either in the summer or when it storms. Like, I understand why it is. That's a place where you particularly want to have a roof, but, you know, I don't know that it requires it. I'm not an engineer. I don't know if, like, there's a structural problem with the stadium if for some reason there's no cloth on the roof. I don't know how they handle those things. But they'll figure it out, and they have obviously a lot of time in order to figure it out. And if they do need to buy themselves like a couple of weeks, maybe they could continue to play a few games at their spring training home to start the season if they needed that time. It's also, I know, comes at an interesting time where they have approved a new stadium and they're moving towards a new stadium. So there will be somebody who asks, like, why is it worth spending money on the roof of a stadium that we're only going to be using for another couple of years? And I think all of those things factor into this conversation. But, again, having the conversation today feels inappropriate given the magnitude of what it is they're dealing with in Florida. I would think that they have, and boy, I think that was a lot of people's concerns, is that we knew that was where they were. We had seen all those pictures of the cots in the stadium because that's where they were housing first responders and linesmen for the response to the hurricane. So, like, you were kind of worried, like, hey, is everybody safe? And apparently no injuries, all's good. So that's a very good thing in the midst of all of this. But shocking pictures of the devastation of Hurricane Milton as it came through Florida last night. The other thing, a lot of people have brought up, the Ravens, of course, play the Buccaneers in Tampa next Monday. I don't get the sense that there's any concern about whether or not that game can be played in Tampa. I get the sense that the belief is that all the cleanup can get taken care of. But, you know, maybe it'd be different if it was this Monday. I don't know. But, like, I get the sense that from just the people that are like, hey, I understand that it's not as important as human beings' safety and health, but, like, I do have a trip planned for next week. I do need to kind of make some decisions and find out. I get the sense that that's not a concern today about whether or not they can play that game in Tampa next Monday. The Buccaneers actually spent this week training in New Orleans ahead of their game against the Saints this week. All right. I think that's one of the games we're picking this week, in fact. So we will do that. Our buddy KZ is going to check in with us in a minute in order to make some picks. Don't forget, the next Arthur Maulet Show comes up Wednesday, October 23rd. We will be at the Gourmet inside the shops at Kenilworth. I have not been. I'm really excited about this. It's the first time we've done a show at the Gourmet. And, yes, it is a Wednesday night show because of the Monday night game that week. Wednesday night show following the Monday night game. So it'll be a little bit different that week. I feel like you're all adults, and you can handle this. It's just one day different. I think we can do it. If we can't, then we got bigger problems. I believe in us. Wednesday, October 23rd. Join us at the Gourmet, Arthur and his special guest. You can find out more about the Arthur Maulet Show by going to PressBoxOnline.com/Maulet for the Arthur Maulet Show. KZ and Picks next. It's Glenn Clark Radio.
The ultimate fan experience awaits you at Sports and Social Maryland. See how we're raising the sports bar with our massive 100-foot media wall featuring 40 HD TVs and a 47-foot big screen. Bet on your favorite teams and this year's biggest events at the FanDuel Sportsbook while enjoying your favorite beers and cocktails, plus our delicious takes on bar food classics. Visit Sports and Social at Live Casino and Hotel Maryland at Arundel Mills. Must be 21. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER.
Driving in Maryland? Did you know an Easy Pass from driveeasymd.com can save you time and money? Of course you did, because you are a thrifty driver. An antenna reads your Easy Pass transponder and automatically deducts the toll from your Easy Pass account. Learn more at driveeasymd.com.
Pressbox's Project Game Day is the place to be after every game this season. Join Glenn Clark, Rita Hubbard, Super Bowl 35 champion Femi Ayanbadejo, and our cast of regulars as they break down what happened, why it mattered, and what it means moving forward. You can watch the show at PressBoxOnline.com/GameDay or Pressbox's Facebook and YouTube pages. Project Game Day is brought to you by the Green Turtle Sportsbook in Towson and Canton, Easy Pass, and HelpMyGamblingProblem.org. So join us for Project Game Day after every game day this football season at PressBoxOnline.com/GameDay.
Treat yourself and taste the Baltimore tradition that is the legendary Costas Inn. Hey, it's Stan the Fan Charles. For over 50 years, the Costas Inn has been a Baltimore original, dishing out their legendary fat, delicious, award-winning crab cakes and steamed crabs. It's crab season, so sit back and crack some crabs while watching the Birds pursue another divisional title on Costas' 15 TVs. On Monday night, the Costas Inn offers their half-pound jumbo lump crab cake with 2 sides for under $30. So head on down to the Costas Inn today at 4100 North Point Boulevard or visit them at CostasInn.com.
The votes were all counted, and the results are official. Royal Farms was named #1 for food in the USA Today 10 Best poll, receiving more votes than any other convenience store chain in America. The next time you want to get some good food fast, doesn't it make sense to go to Royal Farms? Voted best in the USA and home of world-famous chicken. Real fresh, real fast. Royal Farms.
Gambling can be a fun and entertaining experience, but there are risks involved. If you're planning on betting on the game at the casino or on your phone or computer, know your limit, stay within it. Set a budget and a time to stop. Remember, gambling isn't a financial solution, and it doesn't mix well with alcohol or drugs. Know the risks and have a plan before you begin gambling. For free and confidential services, call 1-800-GAMBLER 24/7 or go to helpmygamblingproblem.org.
Brace yourselves for an unparalleled in-person betting experience at the Green Turtle Bet Park Sportsbook and Bars in Canton and Towson. Experience the thrill of live betting with Baltimore's only state-of-the-art Vegas viewing TV experience. Choose between our on-site tellers or the convenience of our self-bet kiosks to place your bets. Gather your betting buddies and head over to the Green Turtle Bet Park Sportsbooks today. Green Turtle Bet Park Sportsbooks in Towson and Canton. The ultimate destination for game day excitement, great food, and live in-person betting. Must be 21. Please play responsibly. Gambling problem? Go to mdgamblinghelp.org.
Coming back in here with Glenn and the other guy, Garrett, whatever his name is. You know who they are.
All right, back in here on GCR. We're going to get the picks later on this hour, but anytime this man says, hey, I got a minute to chat with you, I always coordinate around that because he is, of course, one of our best friends, one of our favorites, Ravens legend. And I want to get his take about this argument of how bringing in a wide receiver could maybe rock the boat a little bit. He is the great Derrick Mason, and he is with us this morning here on GCR. Mace, it's Glenn. It's always great to hear your voice, my friend. Thank you for taking a couple of minutes for us this morning.
Anytime, man. It's a beautiful day here in Nashville, so I'm headed to work now. So
yeah,
what better way to head on into work than to talk about some Ravens football?
Man, you are like Mace is still a working stiff. Like he got out of football and was like, I'm gonna work like almost a damn near 9 to 5 on the radio, which makes no sense to me. But I love it, man. Hey, Mace, this theory has been fascinating to me because I've heard it from a few people. When you hear it, it sounds kind of intelligent. The theory goes like this. No, you don't want to be on Davante Adams because the Ravens' offense is so good right now that why rock the boat by bringing in a piece that could prove to be volatile? And when you hear that, you're like, oh, that sounds kind of smart. And then I'll talk to people within football who are like, what? Like, you think that by adding to something, you're going to make it worse? Like, how does that math work? So I want to pose that thought to you. do you think there's any danger when you have a good functional offense that adding in a quality piece could somehow be a negative to that?
Well, there's always a con or a pro to a situation like this. Obviously, the pro is adding a all-pro receiver, an elite receiver, a guy that, once his career is done, he should be a Hall of Famer. So you figure it would jumpstart an offense, but the offense really don't need jumpstarting, at least not from what I've seen. Yes, would you love another pass catcher? Absolutely. But I come from the thought of, if it's not broken, don't fix it.
Interesting.
But bringing Davante in, if that happens, I don't see necessarily a con to it. There could be a bit of a learning curve for him. How do we implement him to an offense that's already set?
Mm-hmm.
Will it take catches away from whether it's Andrews, Likely, Zay Flowers, guys like that? Will it take touches away from them? And then, frankly speaking, I mean, we're starting to enter into those, cold months of November, December up there in Baltimore. And they brought Derrick Henry in for a reason.
Yep.
It wasn't, for, all 17 games. It was really for the last half of the season into the playoffs, because what you want to do is with Derrick Henry, you don't have to outscore Kansas City, because I think that's why the move was made. You don't have to outscore Kansas City. Just keep Patrick Mahomes on the bench. And with Derrick Henry, you can accomplish that. So bringing Davante Adams in, would it add firepower to the offense? Absolutely. But there would be a learning curve for Davante Adams and trying to figure out how he fits in that offense. And, again, if it's not broken, then why would you try to fix it? But I wouldn't be opposed to, if they brought him in, I wouldn't say that was a crazy move. I just figure if you do bring him in, you got to find a way to make it work.
It sounds like a nuanced take, but I appreciate that, right? Like, the take is something along the lines of, I don't think you need to make a move like that, but it probably still wouldn't hurt if you did make that move.
Exactly. And I'm sure, they've had discussions like that, because you got to be very careful. You don't want to mess up the chemistry. And not to say Davante Adams will come in and mess up the locker room, because he wouldn't. I'm just talking about the continuity of what's already been built, how Lamar Jackson sees the offense, the rapport he's built with Zay Flowers, the rapport he's built with some of these other wide receivers. You don't want to bring a guy in like Davante Adams and have to force feed him the ball, try to force him to be a part of the game, because when you do that, then you take away from the chemistry and the rhythm that you build as an offense. But listen, if you bring Davante Adams in, it's not going to hurt. It's not going. If you bring Davante Adams in, it's not going to hurt. But you better have a plan to slowly, implement him into the offense. Because if you don't, then it could be disastrous.
I appreciate everything about that. I guess, Mace, the other end of it would be that guys get hurt after the trade deadline, right? And, I don't even like saying these words out. We always do the knock on wood bit. I don't even like doing that, because it's putting something negative in. But, do you have to – I feel like this year needs to matter for the Ravens, given their shortcomings in recent seasons in the postseason. You're now 7 years in with Lamar Jackson. It feels like you got to acknowledge, hey, we need to ramp up. And so I'm in favor of them being aggressive in general. And part of that being, I hate the thought of it, but what if it were to be Zay Flowers or Mark Andrews or Isaiah, one of these key pieces that gets hurt after the deadline? You don't have the opportunity to make up for that. Would you be inclined to be more aggressive to try to protect for that ahead of time?
Yeah, you want to always be prepared for the unforeseen. And in this league, as it's a war of attrition when you enter into the months of November, December, and January. It's not about how good you are; it's how healthy you are.
Yeah.
And if you can add a Davante Adams, because there may be because the last thing, like you said, the last thing you want to do is go into the sort of championship months, and then you lose the key piece in your passing game and not have someone that you could truly rely on. So I understand what you're saying when it comes to that. But listen, I'm sure the Baltimore Ravens have, because they're a great organization. So I'm sure they have thought about this inside and out. I'm sure they probably mentioned something to Lamar Jackson. But ultimately, they're going to have to make a decision that's going to be best for the team moving forward. And, if you're going to get a Davante Adams, you got to also think, is it a one-year deal?
Mm-hmm.
Or are you getting him to re-sign him to another contract? You got to look into that too, because you can only bring him in for one deal. It is a all or nothing season for you. It's a Super Bowl or bust if you bring a Davante Adams in, knowing that you may not be able to sign him to a long-term contract.
I don't know that I'm opposed to a Super Bowl or bust mentality at this point, Mace. Like, I know it's very un-Ravens-like, right? Like, we know they do not operate that way. Not in the modern Ravens. I mean, even predating you, there was a time where they had that thought process. But the modern Ravens don't think that way. I just feel like at some point, like, one of these years has to matter, right? Like, you got to be able to step in and say, like, we have Lamar Jackson. We have all of these pieces. We got to get past the Kansas City Chiefs somehow. And so I don't know that I think it would be an awful thing to consider the idea of Super Bowl or bust.
Oh, absolutely not. But if indeed you pull the trigger and bring a Davante Adams in, because you're going to have to give up draft picks, because as we sit now, the Vegas Raiders want a second-round draft pick.
Right.
So if you do want to go get him, that means you're giving up draft capital to go out and get an individual that you hope can be a piece, one of those final pieces, in regards to you winning the Super Bowl. But again, I look at it from this standpoint. You got Zay Flowers, you got Rashad Bateman, you got Likely, you got Andrews. You got some hell of a pass catchers.
Yep.
Adding Davante wouldn't hurt. But again, if you add him, you got to make sure you bring him in understanding, and he understanding that, hey, listen, you're not going to be the number one option in our offense. Our number one option is it's Lamar Jackson first. But then the second option is Derrick Henry, Zay Flowers, so forth and so on. So he has to understand that and be comfortable with him possibly being the third, fourth, or fifth option in his offense.
And you can also make a strong argument that if you're going to add, defense should be the place where you're adding, right? Because that's been the
exactly.
Absolutely. You can make a strong argument there.
So
Mace, if I could.
So if you're gonna,
what you're saying, do you having seen this now for a few weeks, and we know they played the Chiefs earlier this season, but it was week 1, and anymore like week 1 is sort of a glorified still preseason, particularly for a team like the Ravens that doesn't play players in the preseason. Having seen it for a few weeks, how confident would you be that if they can keep all of the key, or the majority, because nobody keeps all of their key pieces healthy, that's not, this is the NFL, it doesn't work that way. But if they can keep the majority of those pieces healthy, that this, Lamar Jackson, Derrick Henry thing can work to do exactly what you're talking about, to keep the Chiefs off the field, to lift this team past Kansas City, and finally back into the Super Bowl?
The only reason it doesn't work is if Todd Monken make the same mistake he made last year when they played the Kansas City.
Stop running the ball.
trying to outduel Patrick Mahomes. You cannot outduel Patrick Mahomes. We've seen Joe Burrow. Joe Burrow's only been able to do it a few times, but nobody else that is currently playing now. And I love Lamar Jackson. I would take him on my team 10 times out of 10. But you can't go into the game thinking Todd Monken, we got to outduel or we got to outthrow Patrick Mahomes. No, what you do is you went and got that freight train of a running back. You saw what he's been able to do thus far. And I'm telling you from experience, Derrick Henry gets stronger as the season goes. So if you want to win a championship, or if you want to put yourself in a position to win a championship, because ultimately we all know it goes through Kansas City, whether Kansas City has the home field advantage or they don't. It still goes through Kansas City. And I believe the only way you're going to beat Kansas City is not outthrowing, even though I think Lamar can go toe-to-toe, but we've seen him go toe-to-toe before, and Patrick Mahomes still comes out as the winner. So the only way you're going to do this is you turn around and hand the ball to that freight train and keep Patrick Mahomes on the bench.
I think that's fair. I'm not going to disagree with any of that, and I think that we have seen that it's possible to work. I guess I would be remiss, Mace, if I didn't ask you, because we're talking about trades. I don't know where the Titans are going to find themselves in a couple of weeks. I know after a really good year a year ago, it's been a disappointing start for DeAndre Hopkins, but if the Ravens weren't going to pay the price for Davante Adams, is that something that if things continue to go the wrong way in Tennessee might make sense as just bringing in one more piece that could be helpful that wouldn't necessarily at this point be like the number one alpha type any longer?
I think that would be more of a realistic move than getting Davante Adams. And the only reason I say that is because you wouldn't have to give up as much to get a Hop than you would to get a Davante Adams. And what Hop brings is a red zone threat. Now you have a legitimate, outside of your tight ends, you have a legitimate big body wide receiver that has proven throughout his career that he operates very well in the red zone. And the Titans are not using him like that here in the red zone. I don't know why. But if indeed their season continues to go south, then I'm sure they're going to be trying to make a decision on whether, to move on from DeAndre Hopkins and try to get some draft picks for him. And I think for Baltimore, it would be a perfect fit from the standpoint of when we get in the red zone, now we can rely on not only Derrick Henry, but we can rely on a big body wide receiver who has made his career in the red zone.
So to your point, you don't think what's going on with him this year is you know how this works, Maze. Like you played until you were 80, it seemed like. Like you never seemed to have a drop off. But you know how everybody talks anymore about like receivers after 30. There's just a moment where they fall off a cliff. Like you don't think that's what's happening with DeAndre Hopkins as much as he's either not being used the right way or they don't have the right guys to get him the ball.
No, I think Hop has slowed down.
Okay.
But I think there's still a place for him.
Okay.
A role, a huge role for him, at least if indeed they try to make the move to get him to Baltimore. I think there is a role for him, and the role is, one, to be that other viable option, veteran option and presence in that room for not only Zay Flowers, but for the quarterback. But then once you get in the red zone, now you have another red zone target that teams have to, game plan for.
He is Derrick Mason, of course, at DEE Mason 85 is how you follow him. Anything that we can plug for you, brother? I know you're always involved with all sorts of great groups and events and stuff like that.
Yes, this month, obviously, we all know it's Breast Cancer Awareness Month. My mom passed away years ago. She was first diagnosed with breast cancer in 2007, and then ultimately had metastasized and entered into her brain. 7 years later, she passed away in 2014. So anything that I can do when it comes to breast cancer, period, I try my best to do it. So go on menwearpink.com, type in my name, and please donate. Or if you have somebody on there that donate to their campaign. It doesn't matter as long as we can, raise a lot of money to rid this world of this ugly disease.
That's wonderful, man. I tell you what, we're gonna find it and we're gonna link up that specific link for what you're doing on our Twitter account as well, so we can show some support. We truly appreciate that and love what you're doing. And we love you, bro. Thank you for squeezing us in this morning, man. I know how busy of a dude you are. Appreciate you. Let's talk real soon, all right?
Love you guys. Thanks for having me on. I appreciate it.
Thanks, Mace. Derrick Mason, the legend. And I think that was a really good, nuanced take, which is don't need to do it, wouldn't be priority, but if you did it, it ain't going to hurt. Like, he's not worried about rocking the boat. He's not worried about, does that hurt a very functional offense? He's just saying, I don't think you need to. And I think that's a really good take. I think that's fitting it comes from Mace. But, I think that makes all the sense in the world. You do it? Hell yeah. Let's go, brother. Let's get after it. I remember saying, I don't think I want to trade Jackson Holiday for Tarek Skubal, but if you do it, I'm going to say, hell yeah, let's go. His point, you don't need to do it, but if you did, fearing that it's going to hurt you or that you're going to, everything's going to go to hell because you made that move, it just seems unfounded. All right, we're about to get into picks. As a reminder, you can go to countysports.zone. It's proudly sponsored by your local Toyota dealer and buyatoyota.com in order to find out everything going on in the world of local high school sports. Countysports.zone. Ken Zalis, I would really prefer if we didn't recap where we are on the picks table at this point and we just got into picks. So are you okay with that? Would you be all right if we didn't talk about what the picks table looks like right now?
As long as my picks are different from yours, I'm good.
Oh, it's come to that. It really has come to that, and I don't blame you one bit because my picks stink. I tried to let somebody else make my picks last week, and that didn't even help me. So it's just what it is. Let's get into it. 3 college games, 6 NFL games every week, and we got to do this on the fly. So, Griffin, where are we starting? We need your microphone.
We are starting right here in Maryland in College Park Friday night on FS1, as we already discussed. Northwestern is at Maryland, and the Terps are laying 10.5 against the Kitty Cats.
I know what Ken's doing. Go ahead, Ken.
You'll be surprised.
Go.
I'm going with Goldie Hawn's favorite team.
Yeah. Why?
Because they're playing the Terps.
I know. I was waiting for you to say that. I just wanted you to get to the. By the way,
10.5. I mean, you even have to give the hook. And they should blow out this team. Honestly, like they're terrible, but I can't give 10.5.
I can't either.
Wow.
Northwestern.
Wow.
Can't either.
I'd like to change my pick.
Right.
I can. I mean, I think I like Maryland's defense against Northwestern's miserable offense, and
you
their
said
ability
that
to force
many
turnovers.
weeks in a row, and they're giving up.
They still force turnovers.
Okay.
And as long as they don't play Penn State, Maryland, I think, looks pretty good on Friday nights usually. So
no, they also got trounced by Iowa on a Friday night. I'm not really sure they've had success on Friday night.
Killed Virginia last year.
Okay.
They had that win over Minnesota. During COVID? That was pretty cool.
That's what you got.
Yeah, that's what I got. They're not playing Penn State, so I will take. I'll take Maryland under the Friday night lights. So you're taking Northwestern, Glenn. You are joined by, of course, Ken Zalis. Never a doubt there. Andrew Stecca's on Northwestern, as is Jeremy Kahn and Ryan Shell on NU.
It's just the number. The number to me, like at double digits, I couldn't do it. That's where I was.
Win by 11. Let's go. Number 1, the new number 1. The Texas Longhorns are heading down to
they're not.
They're not heading anywhere.
Yes.
It's in Austin.
It's not in Austin. Do you not know how the Red River?
That's right. It's in Dallas.
Jesus Christ.
I do know how because I remember we did talk about this.
Yes. Every year they played at the Cotton Bowl.
I knew it was in
Texas
Dallas,
State Fair, the whole thing.
Austin. Anyway, number 18 Oklahoma. They're catching 14.5. This game's at 3:30 on Saturday.
This is difficult because Oklahoma has looked better with their new quarterback, and I've already forgotten what his name is. Hawkins is definitely Michael Hawkins is his name. They have looked far better with their new quarterback, but that's only a 1-game sample size that we're talking about. And it's 14.5. You said that effing hook. That hook. Oh God, I'm already losing anyway. Oklahoma, what are we doing?
Yeah, what are we doing? You're just trying to dig yourself.
Throwing it away, yeah.
I like you said, it's only 1 week with the new quarterback. This is a different animal. I'll take Texas. I think this is a total blowout game.
Yeah, the quarterback, man, like on paper it should be a total blowout game. Mm-hmm. Quinn Ewers is coming back.
Except for it's also a rivalry game, and that's the other part. The other part of this that's difficult for me is like, it just somehow, some way feels like these games are always close.
It does. OU has won 7 of the last 10. I think the only blowout like in the last 10
No, there
years,
was a 49-0 game in there
Texas,
for Texas.
Texas
yes.
2 years ago.
Yes.
That was the only like
and
blowout
to Ken's
game.
point, it might very well be the same thing this year.
Exactly. Like I think it might be that. I'm gonna go against it. I think OU's defense is really good, and maybe Quinn Ewers will have a few. He's gonna be a little rusty after being off for the last few weeks. I'm gonna take Oklahoma here, 14.5 in a rivalry because it is still a rivalry, is a lot. So I'm taking the Sooners. Stecca joins Glenn and I on Oklahoma. Joe Serpico on the Sooners, as is Ryan Shell on Oklahoma. Then to College Game Day in Eugene, Oregon.
God, they gotta feel so awful that I'm on the same pick as them. This is what it feels like to be Andrew Stecca. Like this is, I know what it's like now.
I know. Because I felt good about my Oklahoma pick until you
until I said it. Yeah, I get it.
Number 2 Ohio State is going across the country at number 3 Oregon. Ohio State's still 3-point favorites.
I just feel like Oregon's too good of a team to not, like, if you're catching points, catch the points, right? Like, I'm not really that down on the fact that Ohio State only scored 7 points in the first half against Iowa. I still think they're really good. This really comes to, I think Oregon's outstanding, and when you have an outstanding team getting points at home, it just sort of feels like you're reckless to not take it. So, Oregon. Oh, yeah?
Man, I'm having a bad week because I'm going to agree with you. It's 3.5. They're at home. I think they're good. I think they're good. We're going to find out how good they are. And the Iowa thing doesn't bother me too much. I don't read into Iowa's defense is always good, but yeah, give me the Ducks.
Yeah, I'm gonna take Oregon too. It's like the biggest game in Oregon, or at least home game in Oregon history. Like, and the Ducks have played like close games this season too. Like, I'm not, this will be Ohio State's first like real test, and it is a massive test. So at home getting points, I don't think I can go against Oregon. On Ohio State is Andrew Stetka. James Revere is on.
Oh, there's definitely a thought here too that this is a stinky line.
Yeah,
and so you should ride with Ohio State.
John and Little Rock's on Ohio State, as is Kyle and Paul.
Okay.
Paul Valley on Ohio State. To the NFL tonight in Seattle, staying in the Pacific Northwest. San Francisco at Seattle, and the Niners are laying 3.5 tonight against the Seahawks.
What do you do with that?
You got to pick one.
I don't know, but I don't know what to make of these teams. Remember a couple weeks ago how the Ravens made the worst decision in the history of humanity to let Mike McDonald go? Remember? You remember that? You remember how I'm sure nobody that I'm talking to right now had a feeling like that whatsoever. I think the Seahawks are going to be limited because of their quarterback, but at the same time, the 49ers have been limited. Like, that's been the reality without their pieces. Are they getting anybody back this week?
The Niners?
Yeah. No, they got Debo back.
Everybody was there
week.
last week. I mean, McCaffrey's not coming back. So.
I think you're right.
Jeez.
Oh, God. I'm going to just default to home team getting points here, and I'll take Seattle.
I'm going to take the 49ers. I feel better and better about it.
You should.
I just last week was kind of a kooky thing where they lost their kicker and they had nobody to kick field goals, so they kept going for it from fourth down and missing. Everybody's back. Everybody is healthy outside of McCaffrey, and Mason's been good enough. So I think they figure it out. I don't like what's happening in Seattle right now, and I'm more disappointed in the offense than anything else.
I'm gonna take the Seahawks. They've lost 5 in a row to San Francisco. Purdy's 4-0 against them, and and a lot of that is like Shanahan owns Seattle. But does he own?
Just numbers. It's just numbers.
Does he own Mike McDonald though?
Great point.
I mean, he's no Dean Pease.
Yeah, I mean, again, home team getting 3.5. I'm gonna take the Seahawks tonight. Can I start Geno Smith tonight, Ken, or should I start Kirk Cousins, Daniel Jones, or even Anthony Richardson if he plays?
I'm not starting Richardson.
Okay.
I'm probably starting Kirky.
Kirk over Daniel Jones?
Yeah.
And you're not starting Geno tonight?
No, I'm not.
Okay. All right. Tampa at New Orleans. This is on Sunday in New Orleans, and the Buccaneers are 3.5-point favorites against Spencer the Rattler.
This makes it so impossible to pick this game, right? Like, you find yourself just defaulting to Tampa because Spencer Rattler's starting, and like, but it's still 3.5 points on the road, and there is I don't think it's been easy for the Buccaneers being away from home, and I think the word is that most of them like had their families with them this week in New Orleans, so that probably helped things, but it's still not comfortable to spend an entire week away. There's so many home dogs here that like it feels like I could just keep taking the home dogs, but Tampa.
Yeah, I'm going to take Tampa as well. I get all that, and I don't have a strong feeling here, but you're going up against a rookie who, quite frankly, wasn't, this seems like a desperation move to me by New Orleans. He wasn't number 2 coming in to last week when Carr got hurt. All of a sudden, you're elevating him. I'll take Tampa.
By the way, I forgot to. There are only 3 on the 49ers: Ken, Kyle, and Andrew Stecca are on San Francisco.
All right.
I'm gonna take the Bucs too. Like they asked the question is how are the Saints gonna generate offense? Like if I knew Taysom Hill was gonna play, I feel like I might feel a little differently about this. But he hasn't practiced yet this week, so I don't think Taysom Hill has a good shot of playing. So I'm gonna take Baker Mayfield and Todd Bowles going up against a rookie. So I will take the Buccaneers as well. Backing the Saints though is Andrew Stecca, James Jeremy, Joe as well on New Orleans. And now to Green Bay. Arizona Cardinals at the Packers, and the Packers are laying 5.
Here's what I know I'm not going to do is buy into the Cardinals. I'm not going to do it because they burned me with the Commanders a couple of weeks ago. Packers.
Yeah, I had the same thought. I'm not buying into what happened last week. Going on the road, I'll take Green Bay.
That's exactly what I wrote down as well. I'm not buying Arizona
not doing
right
it.
now.
Not doing it.
So, yeah, I'll take the Packers at home as well. A few people are buying the Cardinals. Andrew Stecca buying the Cardinals. I guess more so, going against the public or I guess however the money's falling. Proctor is on the Cardinals as well. Kyle and Ryan Shell are on Arizona. And
I feel like this is going to make it more difficult for me to come back is that we have so many people that, like, their picks, you know what I mean?
It's tough.
Yeah. To Denver, Chargers are at the Broncos, and the Chargers are 3-point favorites.
It's another home dog. There's so many home dogs this week. I feel like I'm in the same place where, like, I was reluctant last week. I did not buy into what the Broncos did in New York because it was in a downpour. It was in an absolute deluge, and they scored 10 points. But then they looked competent last week, but some of that was big plays on defense. And the Chargers can run. Chargers. I'm not even Chargers. Chargers.
What's the line?
3.
Yeah. Chargers minus
for the
3.
Chargers?
Yeah, Chargers minus 3.
I'll take Denver. I think these are two teams that offensively lean towards close games just because of the type of offenses that they run. And the Denver defense is legit. I've seen enough. They're legit.
I think they're legit. I just think it requires them to make big plays. Like, I think it requires them to score points defensively.
And they're doing that. And I just, you could get a 3-point lead here or something like that, and LA just sits on it. So I'm going to take Denver.
I hate how much I'm agreeing with Glenn, but I think the Broncos are terrible. I think their defense is good, but I don't.
Bro, you are screwed, man. This is.
I think it's gonna be low scoring, but
Hope you enjoy coming and hanging out with me at the bottom of the table.
Gotta
try to get one back on
I'm
you.
ahead of you, so I gotta stay there. It's a hard ball off a bye, so I'll take the Chargers.
There's that.
Joining Ken on the Broncos, Andrew Stecca is on Denver, Joe Serpico, as is Kyle, Paul Valley, and Ryan Shell on Denver. Detroit at Dallas, another home dog here. Lions are 3-point favorites.
So many
in Jerry World.
There's so many home dogs this week. There's so many home dogs. Detroit's coming off a bye. Like, this feels like a trap line, but I can't do it. Lions, I just think they're better. Lions.
Yeah, coming off a bye, getting a couple of guys that were a little bit nicked up, healthy again. The Lions are good, so
they are. But I also think that I know that we're dismissed. I think that was a statement win from the Cowboys last week too. I know that sounds crazy because we're all down on the Steelers.
I don't think it's a statement. I think it's an offensively challenged team that they beat.
I agree with that part. All right, go ahead. Let's just go. No, you got to tell us.
Yeah, tell everybody about the game.
My God.
I agree. Sorry, for some reason I thought Ken
Griffin was trying to get me like, oh, he's trying to kick him off. We got to pick another game. I'm like, no, you go.
Yeah, I'm with you though. It's Lions coming off a bye. The line does seem like a little, like almost like it should be more in favor of the Lions here. So, but I'm gonna take Detroit. We have our first lone wolf of the week.
Go ahead.
It is Kyle Ottenheimer.
Wow, big opportunity.
The Cowboys.
Big opportunity.
And then we finally have.
I mean, he doesn't even need them to win. Yeah. That's the.
It's 3 points. It's close. But yeah, Washington at Baltimore. Ravens hosting the Commanders. Ravens are laying 6.5.
I so want to pick the Commanders. Like, I just feel like that line shouldn't be 6.5. But I'm not doing it. The line being 6.5 is stink. Ravens.
Ravens by 24. Say it on. Say it on.
I know you've been.
Say it on game.
Project Game Day. That's what we call it. Yes.
Yes. Project Game Day. I'm sticking to it. I think this is a total blowout.
I don't know if it'll be a total blowout, but I do think the Ravens should win in relatively in comfortable fashion. So yeah, I think their offense will be able to outpace. I'm not sure if the Commanders are gonna have to establish the run somehow, and I don't really know how.
Yeah.
If they can do that against this Ravens team. 3 backers of the Commanders. John in Little Rock is taking Washington, as is Kyle Ottenheimer and Ryan Schell.
All right.
One of the commies.
It is 6.5 points. I mean, I get it. There's a part of me that wants to do it, just couldn't bite. All right, sir. We will see you on Sunday for Project Game Day, right? Oh, hey, I've got $50 of fab money left, and in a league that I'm in, the guy that owned Nico Collins just dropped him. How much of that should I put towards Nico Collins?
All pretty good amount.
Yeah.
I would save myself $1 or $2, but in case you need it. If you have an IR spot, especially.
I put in a $33 bid. Should I up that? Should I make it more like $43?
I'd put 45 down.
45, and then I'm left with $5 for the rest of the year.
Make sure what's everyone else's fab situation?
I don't know.
Make sure
I don't know.
You can't see it. Make sure not everybody if everybody has $30, make sure you're only putting in 31.
Yes,
no. There haven't been big.
Okay.
Yeah, it hasn't been like that. All right. Love you, buddy. Talk to you Sunday. Thank you.
Take care, guys.
That's KZ with us every Thursday to make some picks. All right, when we come back in, we're going to get a tidbit, we're going to get tubular, and then we're going to get you segment number 2 of the Arthur Maulet Show with Justice Hill. Don't forget, Stan the Fan every Monday into the off-season, the rest of the playoffs, and obviously through the off-season. Stan, Ross Grimsley, Luke Jackson will continue to get together every Monday, facebook.com/PressBoxSports. And this week, Stan and Gary Stein also did a Maryland 5-star preview show that you can check out. Again, facebook.com/PressBoxSports. Click on the videos tab. Go to youtube.com/PressBoxOnline or PressBoxOnline.com/video. It's GCR.
Experience the thrill of the Mars Maryland 5-Star at Fair Hill, presented by Brown Advisory, coming October 17th to the 20th. See the world's best equestrians compete in the sport of eventing, the ultimate test of horse and rider. Enjoy a weekend festival featuring locally sourced food at the Fresh Food Fest, a beer, wine, and spirits showcase, shopping, and fun for all ages. Check out the Maryland Corgi Cup, interactive kids corner, and more. It's the place to be in October. Visit MarylandFivestar.us for tickets.
Treat yourself and taste the Baltimore tradition that is the legendary Costas Inn. Hey, it's Stan the Fan Charles. For over 50 years, the Costas Inn has been a Baltimore original, dishing out their legendary fat, delicious, award-winning crab cakes and steamed crabs. It's crab season, so sit back and crack some crabs while watching the Birds pursue another divisional title on Costas' 15 TVs. On Monday night, the Costas Inn offers their half-pound jumbo lump crab cake with 2 sides for under $30. So head on down to the Costas Inn today at 4100 North Point Boulevard or visit them at CostasInn.com.
Make the most out of every day in your Toyota RAV4. Available in hybrid or gas-only models. A RAV4 can get you where you want to go in style. Check out buyatoyota.com for deals on new RAV4s from your local Toyota dealer today.
The drug scene in Maryland is changing. Fentanyl and xylazine are being added to street drugs, and you may not even know it. Xylazine is not even intended for humans, and fentanyl is an opioid 50 times stronger than heroin and contributed to over 80% of overdose deaths in our state. Anyone who uses drugs, even occasionally, is at risk of overdose. To learn more, visit stopoverdose.maryland.gov or call or text 988.
The votes were all counted, and the results are official. Royal Farms was named #1 for food in the USA Today 10 Best poll. receiving more votes than any other convenience store chain in America. The next time you want to get some good food fast, doesn't it make sense to go to Royal Farms? Voted best in the USA and home of world-famous chicken. Real fresh, real fast. Royal Farms.
The latest edition of Press Box is available now. On the cover, Bo Smolka profiles Ravens star safety Kyle Hamilton, detailing his path from growing up the son of a basketball player to choosing football, being overlooked in the draft, and turning into a defensive unicorn as a playmaking Swiss Army knife in the NFL. Also inside, meet college football players from all of the area's D1 programs and some of the area's college soccer standouts as well. Pressbox is available for free at over 500 locations throughout the region, including 60 Royal Farm stores. Or you can read the entire issue at PressBoxOnline.com, where you can also find great betting advice and the best daily coverage of the Orioles, Ravens, and Terps.
One of the things that's definitely wrong with this country is that this dude still has a job somehow, some way. Glenn Clark.
All right, winding down for a Thursday edition of the program. I feel like there's got to be stuff that we didn't. I always get to this point of the show. I'm like, what did we not cover today? I don't know. We don't have time for it anyway. There's Spencer Rattler starting. The Raiders are going to Aiden O'Connell as their quarterback. Like Gardner Minshew was making any difference.
Well, I feel like he got the ball to Brock Bowers a little better.
Sure.
And that was the only thing that matters on that team.
Remind everybody about Live Casino and Hotel Maryland.
Every time that Baltimore or Washington's football team score a touchdown this season during their home games, Live Rewards members will be receiving $7 in free slot play. I have to have your Live Rewards card inserted into the slot machine and be actively playing in order to receive your prize. But once that touchdown gets scored, $7 in free slot play for Live Rewards members when Baltimore or Washington scores touchdowns during home games. At Arundel Mills, must be 21. Please play responsibly. For help, visit mdgamblinghelp.org or call 1-800-GAMBLE.
By the way, Chris, I'm not advocating for the Ravens to trade for DeAndre Hopkins. I'm saying that that might be, to Mace's point, that might end up proving to be logical. A lesser price for a player that perhaps is more comfortable for a lesser role at this point in his career and just trying to win a Super Bowl. Maybe there's a Beckham-like effect to that. I think it's a practical conversation to be had. I think it's more practical to me that always, whenever you're talking about the top guy, I just assume it ain't happening. So DeAndre Hopkins seems like, and again, if the role is, hey, also you're looking for depth, it would make some sense to me. That would make some sense to me for the Ravens as a target. I haven't even looked at DeAndre Hopkins' contract situation. DeAndre Hopkins, like if you're on the hook for a lot of money next year, that could be troubling because I think DeAndre Hopkins on the downside. No, he's good. You're good after this season. That's absolutely a move. Absolutely a move that I could see the Ravens making. Not to be a game changer, just to be a veteran receiver, yes, and give you one more. I think that's a practical conversation to be had. All right, very good. Why don't we go ahead and get a tidbit? When I asked that, that's not a tidbit. I know that much. I don't know what it is, but what I do know is not a tidbit. What do you think our batting average is? What do you think? What do you think we're hitting?
I think it'd be pretty decent if in MLB.
Yeah, if it was baseball, I would agree with that. What if it was not baseball? And instead, all right, just whatever.
Have you ever thought of taking a cruise to these wonderful destinations with sunny skies and beautiful beaches? Well, wait no longer. We're ready for you to cruise from the Cruise Maryland Terminal.
Have a little phrase that you can go from baggage to margarita in about 15 minutes.
Choose fun with an array of destinations, onboard activities, entertainment, and world-class cuisine.
Contact your travel agent and book your cruise today. Let your adventure begin.
All right, what you got for tidbits?
All right. So
by the way, did you happen, because I know you for some stupid reason you're still in the text thread despite the fact that you quit trivia after 1 week. What you did? I don't know if have you been back?
No.
Okay, you quit trivia after 1 week.
Schedule doesn't often line up, but
what do you have going on Monday nights? What's big in your world?
Sometimes I got softball. Sometimes I like to play pickleball.
It sounds more like you make the schedule not line up. That's what it sounds like. It sounds like you quit.
I enjoy being outside. Sometimes.
No one's. No,
not quit.
There are 6 other nights a week that you could be outside.
Yeah.
You choose to be outside on Monday nights.
Monday lines up with a lot of other people in my life, too.
See,
so
again, it sounds like you prioritize those things and quit trivia.
No.
Did you see the sports trivia questions that were apparently our friend Brad was at a different trivia game? He was cheating on us this week. He went on Tuesday. He wanted more trivia in his life. One day a night a week wasn't enough. Did you see these sports trivia questions they gave him?
No, did not.
I mean, like
they were.
You thought Ray Fosse was easy. Not for you, but for all the rest of us.
Yeah.
The first question was, what team drafted Marvin Harrison Jr.?
Colts. No, wait.
Holy crap. I'm just like, what?
And he like,
what? The second one, admittedly, like I actually didn't know this. I knew immediately who it was. I just didn't know this fact. Somehow it never struck me. What player recently became the first to win three consecutive batting titles with 3 different teams?
So recently this happened?
Mm-hmm.
Consecutive batting titles. Oh, Luis Arraez.
Yes.
Yeah.
Like, and again, it's.
Yeah.
I feel like there was no pomp and circumstance about it.
Right.
But like the moment that the question's asked, I'm like, well, it's got to be Arraez. Like, who else could it possibly be? But there's just not a lot of pomp and circumstance about him having done that. Go ahead.
Frankie Lindor, first player in MLB playoff history to hit a grand slam that accounts for all of his team's runs in a series-clinching win. As the Mets just continue to be a little magical here, and they do advance to the NLCS. And I guess you covered it like right at the top of the show, but yeah, before yesterday, no MLB team had ever thrown a postseason shutout in a game where their starter got no more than 4 outs.
It's crazy, man.
Happened twice yesterday.
Yep, both the Tigers and the Dodgers. And I'm telling you, maybe the lesson that we learned is you don't need. All right, whatever.
Hockey is back, and the new.
Or maybe the real answer is like have a bunch of fringe starters. Like maybe it is. Like, have a Dean Kramer and an Albert Suarez, but tell them they're bullpen guys. That's what they are, but they're going to pitch frequently and get a ton of innings out during the course of the season because I don't know. I'm spitballing. I have no idea, but it seems like we can't just look at this and be like, what an I just feel like there's got to be something to what the Tigers are doing.
So we have an NHL first.
Yes.
First time in NHL history, they have a player with the same first name and the same last name.
Who is it?
Ivan.
I did not know that. I had no idea.
Ivan of the Colorado Avalanche.
How about that?
Danny.
Everybody always said that about Cam Cameron. Like, we can't trust him. He's got the same first name and last name, but that wasn't true. His first name was not Cameron. His first name was Malcolm, and he went with Cam for some reason. Yeah, I don't know. Cam Cameron was not Cameron.
Jacob Jacobs or something, or I'm trying to.
I feel like there was somebody. Oh,
William
God.
Williams.
No.
Roberts.
Keep going with your thing.
Okay. Danny Green announced his retirement this morning from the NBA.
Was Danny Green still in the NBA? I didn't realize that.
Apparently he was still in the NBA.
He was teammates with Gary Neal with the Spurs.
He's won 3 NBA Finals in his career. He is tied for 5th most three-pointers made in NBA Finals history.
5th most three-pointers made in NBA Finals.
Named the 4 fellas ahead of him.
Well, again, I think the question is it great three-point shooters or is it just guys that played in the finals a lot? So, as far as great, LeBron James.
LeBron is ahead of him. He is 3rd on the list.
Michael Jordan.
Not Michael Jordan.
Okay. He attacked the basket a lot. Oh, LeBron attacks the basket. And he didn't lose in NBA Finals. He only made the 6 appearances, went 6 for 6. Kobe Bryant.
Not Kobe Bryant.
That's stunning.
Kobe Bryant's 9th.
That's stunning. Like,
Jordan's 12th.
Shocking that Kobe Bryant isn't in the top.
Kobe only made 48. Danny Green's at he has 59.
Kobe was in 6, right? No, he was in 7. Hang on a second. Wait. Kobe won 5. Right? Did he win? Hang on. Yeah, he won 5. Right? Am I crazy?
Kobe Bryant.
Or did he just win 4?
NBA Finals.
He won the 3 straight
5,
with
7.
Shaq.
So, yeah, he's 5 and 2.
5 and 2. That's what I thought.
Yeah,
because then they beat the Celtics. And yes, correct. And they lost to the Pistons and lost to the Celtics as well. So, yeah, he's been to 7 finals. That's shocking, man. Like, stunning that he isn't higher on that list. Steph Curry is the...
Yes, he is number 1.
So I guess I should say Klay Thompson.
You should say Klay Thompson. There's the top 3. Steph, Klay, LeBron. And then also 59.
Ray Allen?
Not Ray Allen. He is 7th. 55 three-pointers made. Just ahead of Kobe.
Man, how about Christ, I don't know. Robert Horry?
It's a good guess. Robert Horry is just outside, though. He's where am I going with my? Oh, here we go. Robert Horry is he's 56. He's 3 behind Danny Green, so he's 6th on the list.
Derek Fisher?
you've got the top 9. All
God, really?
Yeah, you've got the
I
top
wouldn't
9.
even have bet Derek Fisher was in the top 10. It's great. Like, it has to be somebody who played in the finals a ton, and that's what makes this tough. And it has to be in the 3-point era, and so it's got to be a modern player that played in the finals a ton.
Yep.
We're gonna run out of time.
Maybe
Dwayne Wade.
Not Dwayne Wade. Kind of getting warmer though.
Kind of getting warmer.
He's a teammate of one of the guys in the top 3.
A teammate of one of the guys in the top 3. Okay, so it's not Draymond. It's not Andre Iguodala.
Not.
Oh, Kevin Durant.
Nope.
So it's a LeBron teammate.
It is a LeBron teammate.
This don't make. Chris Bosh didn't make. Oh God, it's not Jones. It's who the hell? J.R. Smith?
J.R. Smith.
No.
59 3-pointers made, tied for, I guess, not tied.
Did J.R. Smith make the finals with somebody else that I'm not thinking of? Because they only were in the finals a few times. Like, it's not that many.
He must have just been yakking up threes. Just tied with Danny Green, 59 3-pointers made. That is the top 5. Steph, Clay, LeBron, J.R., and Danny Green.
Oh, he was in the bubble finals. That doesn't count! God!
Okay, so all right, so he'd still be like, I mean, he'd still be like top 7 here.
We got to get rid of 2020 from all stat books. It's just got to go. Doesn't help anything. All right, I guess let's get totally tubular still.
Experience the thrill of the Mars Maryland 5-Star at Fair Hill, presented by Brown Advisory, coming October 17th to 20th. See the world's best equestrians compete in the sport of eventing, the ultimate test of horse and rider. Enjoy a weekend festival featuring local food, shopping, and fun for all. Come for the event and stay for the experience in Cecil County, home to the Chesapeake Bay waterfront, vibrant small towns, and family entertainment. Tickets on sale now at maryland5star.us.
All right, here's what's coming up totally tubular-wise. As we mentioned, NFL Week 6 gets underway tonight, 8:15 on Amazon Prime Video for 49ers Seahawks. 2 Game 4s this evening, and they're kind of simultaneous, 6 o'clock and 8 o'clock. So 6:08 on TNT for Guardians Tigers Game 4. Tanner Bybee against whichever one of those cats the Tigers are putting back out there today to start the game.
I found out Tanner Bybee's, I think it was his Twitter name. It's a Bibe.
It's not awful. It's not awful. TBS at 8:08 for Royals Yankees. Come on, Kansas City. Garrett Cole against Michael Wacha in that one. WNBA Finals, Game 1 tonight. Minnesota Lynx, New York Liberty, 8 o'clock on ESPN. The only Diamond Miller is a reserve for the Minnesota Lynx. Hasn't been getting a lot of minutes, unfortunately, the former Terp. But that's the one kind of connection to the WNBA Finals. College football tonight, ESPN2, Coastal Carolina, Madison, 7:30, CBS Sports Network, Middle Tennessee, Louisiana Tech at 8, ESPN UTEP, Western Kentucky at 8. Hockey tonight on ESPN+.
Pac-12 team, UTEP.
Maybe. Maybe. Is that done? Is that?
No, I mean,
we just placed our. Yeah, it's possible. Like, I don't know.
Disgrace.
You say it's a disgrace. What else they do?
I don't know.
It's more
UTEP is their best option, really.
Well, I mean, if everybody else is legitimate and saying they're not coming, like if that's real, then they didn't want that. They wanted Memphis. They wanted Tulane. They wanted other schools, and the other schools were like, "Nah, I'm good.
Just go back.
No, thank you." I wonder if they even try to like
2
get.
years ago.
We don't have time for this. We don't have time for it. Hockey tonight, ESPN Plus and Hulu. Stars Predators, 8 o'clock. Blues Sharks, 10:30. Golf Channel, round 1 of whatever the Black Desert Championship is. That's at 5 o'clock. It's a PGA event, apparently. Preseason hoops, Lakers Bucks at 8 on NBA TV. Access TV, TNA, Impact at 8. Non-sports.
Let's see. Jordan Peele will be on Fallon. Apparently, Scare Tactics is not good out on USA on Friday nights. Not
Bummer.
good, so he's trying to talk it up, I think. Madeline Klein, because season 4 of Outer Banks comes out today on Netflix.
Who knew?
And Dylan O'Brien is in this movie on HBO Max, Caddo Lake. And it looks, I don't know, looks kind of scary. Looks interesting, and it is the series finale of Fight Night on Peacock, the Kevin Hart show.
Very good.
Yes. So yeah.
All right. Thanks today to Derrick Mason. Thanks also to Ken Zalis. Thanks to Aaron Schatz. Thanks to Jeff Chadiha. We'll get it all up in the. I guess we should do the other thing.
Why? Because of that.
Because
oh my God.
Because they're in the
so
NLCS. You know, congratulations to them. Tab at Glenn Clark Radio. Tab at the Greatest Hits section. No, I said that first. Yeah, I screwed myself up this time.
Go back.
We'll get it up. We'll get all that up in the Greatest Hits section of the.
Oh my God, it's so good.
Tab at GlennClarkRadio.com. Thank you. Tomorrow, I will not be here tomorrow. Stan the Fan Charles. Yeah, I know, right? Crazy. I'm quitting. It's been a good run. Good luck to y'all. I'm out. Moving to Indianapolis. Stan will be here tomorrow. Gary Stein, I hear, is going to join him. Brock Vereen from that other pregame show on CBS, I think, is going to join me. It's weird. I don't know how that all is going to work.
Is this one of the Tarico?
Yeah, right. Won't do it. Anything?
Bo Smuckle, of course.
Oh, Bo, right? Every Friday.
Stuff and things. We'll talk some baseball, talk some football. We'll get you ready for the weekend.
Very good. That's tomorrow. There will be a show. Come join us tomorrow. Thanks to everybody at PressBox, all of our great sponsors and partners, including the Maryland 5-Star, Live Casino and Hotel, Cruise Maryland, Crown Trophy, Easy Pass, Royal Farms, Green Turtle Bet Park Sportsbooks in Towson and Canton, HelpMyGamblingProblem.org, the Costas Inn, MSAA, the Baltimore Orioles, your local Toyota dealer, buyatoyota.com. Thanks to Griffin at Griffin_Bass. Follow us, Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok at Glenn Clark Radio. Have a great Thursday evening. Go not the Yankees. Duke sucks. We wrap up today. Segment number 2 of the Arthur Maulet Show featuring Justice Hill from Tuesday night at Mother's North Grill in Timonium.
Segment number 2 of the Arthur Maulet Show. Rita and Glenn, Arthur Maulet, Justice Hill, Press Box, 105.7 The Fan, live from Mother's North Grill in Timonium. The storied tradition of eventing the ultimate test of horse and rider continues with the Maryland 5-Star at Fair Hill on October 17th through 20th. Visit maryland5star.us for more info and for tickets. Yo, we were talking about college football last week. This week was even wilder, dude.
It's college football, baby.
Best
Vanderbilt.
That's why you watch college football.
Yes.
Vanderbilt ain't even the second most important football program in the state of Tennessee.
Well,
Nick Saban would never.
Well, it should be because the other one lost. They did.
Nick Saban would never.
Right. So I want to ask you about something that happened in that game. Did you see Malachi Moore, the safety from Alabama, at the end of the game? Okay.
All right. A little breakdown.
All right.
A little meltdown.
So you're familiar. You kind of lost it a little bit. Losing stinks. I remember you telling me that after the AFC Championship game.
I'm not going to lie. I'm not a guy to talk to about it.
Okay. No.
I'm bad with losing.
That's what I wanted to know about.
I'm pretty bad with losing.
Everybody said that, dude.
I wouldn't say I'm a sore loser, but I'm right in between, right there. You know what I'm saying? I'm almost there.
But I think the thing is the reaction to him there was a lot of backlash about it, and people were like, oh, Nick said, well, he should be suspended, and
he kicked the ball.
Yeah,
He kicked the ball.
I mean,
wait, what you mean?
Is it a little too far?
They were lining up for a play to take a knee at the end of the game, Vanderbilt, and he just walked up to the ball, spotted on the ground, and kicked it.
I'm not that mad.
You control yourself a little better than that.
But that's what I did.
You do got a little temper, though.
Because I remember you telling us that you legit didn't want to come out of the room for 5 days after the AFC Championship game.
I didn't want to leave the house.
Can you not that, because that's obviously over the top, but can you understand
not that.
Okay, all right.
Do you think that there's something that should have happened, like some type of disciplinary action?
I mean, it's college, man. I don't know what they do there. You shouldn't do that though.
He did come out the next day and he apologized and said,
sure
he did.
No choice.
I gotta ask you this though, because everybody knows I'm a huge college football fan. So my favorite thing about Saturday is, in addition to Vanderbilt winning, they walked 3 miles with the goalpost and threw it in the river. 3 miles. Went through downtown Nashville. Had an escort. and then threw.
With the dude standing on the goalpost, too.
Much.
Yeah. You don't win that all. You just said, we don't even need to play no more.
But
Throw the goalpost away.
Is that type of celebration acceptable because of such and beating the #1 team in the country?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what you got to say.
They probably won't do that for another 50 years.
Yeah, I know.
They were 0-60 and going into the game of
0-60.
beating top 5 opponents.
Yeah,
0-60.
So,
yeah, you
another
got to
50
celebrate
years,
that.
you got to celebrate.
You got to make it memorable. Yeah.
Justice, I want to know about you with lose. Like, how do you handle losing when things don't go your way? Are you like completely, that happens? Like, or are you?
Yeah, I'm just like, it's part of the process. I mean, losing gonna happen, bad things gonna happen. It's just what it is, life, and so, yeah, I don't really get down about it.
I want to go back to this for a second. Like, do you like avoid text? Do you avoid? Like, you're kind of letting this on to a place where you go after a loss. Like, are you like shut out? I don't want to hear about it. I don't want to.
No, I'm not like that. But if I lose, like, I'm mad.
You're feeling
it. Yeah. I'm a competitor.
Yeah, what's the point of doing this?
If we're playing Connect 4, I don't want to lose.
That's why you don't play nobody. That's why you don't play nobody, because you get that.
You know, there's like, I think they might have a giant.
I play college football for the first time in the locker room, and I think I'm pretty good. And I'm playing Herb. I think I'm gonna 21 swag him. It's Brent Herb. I'm like, Herb don't play video games. I'm gonna watch Herb. I get into the first quarter, score a touchdown fast. Boom, I'm like, yes. It's out of there. Long story short, I didn't finish the third quarter.
So, if I remember, I think he actually quit. Yeah.
I quit. I couldn't finish it. I was so mad.
Quit.
Yeah, I raged quit.
Herb was waxing that.
I raged quit, man.
Oh, my God.
I'm a sore loser. No, we're not finishing the game. I never lost.
And this,
we never
my
finished.
God.
Wow.
We never finished.
That's rough, bro. I was going to say, I thought they had a giant Connect 4 board out back. I was going to suggest we play, but now I don't think we're going to.
I don't think that's a good idea.
On the flip side, it's funny because we were talking about Lamar in the first segment. It seemed like he wasn't even happy after the game. Like, he wasn't even able to, like, celebrate because all he kept thinking about was the fumble, right? Like, we almost lost, and it would have been after he played one of, like, the greatest games that we've ever seen someone play. Do you ever go through that on the flip side where, like, you guys win, but you don't even find yourself able to enjoy it so much because you're still thinking about, like, the one play in the third quarter that you could have done something better?
I think you're always going to be thinking about that. Like, even if you win, you're going to be happy about the win, obviously, but it's like, dang, that did happen. But for Lamar, man, he's won all the accomplishments you could ever want to win. Like, for him, he just want to win the Super Bowl, and I think that's the mentality of everybody on our team. So, yeah, we're going to celebrate the wins. We're going to celebrate the big plays. Like, yeah, we're going to have fun with it, but at the end of it, like, we're just trying to win the Super Bowl, so we're going to do everything we can to get there.
I can tell you the game that's relatable to that, Glenn, and when we did post-game, the Cowboys game. That is the one I think that it was a win, but Lamar being upset, didn't want to do the IG Live because he was upset, and all those things. I think we felt that too. We felt that.
We felt that too. It's not about that. It's just from a professional standpoint.
Yeah.
Like, we're down right now. We're 0-2 in the AFC at the beginning of the season. So right now we're behind the 8 ball. So for us, we have to make up ground, and Lamar understands that. So it's not really like time to play around. He's not saying it from a point where like he can't get on live. You can do what you want to do, Marlo. But for me, for Lamar, he's like, yo, man, I'm focused right now. I got a goal in mind, So I think everybody on our team does, everybody, copes in different ways on victories and losses. So, you have to respect each other's space and, respect that. But, at the end of the day, man, like, he's trying to raise that Lombardi. So, we're behind him 100%.
Respect that.
Yeah, 1,000%.
It is what it is.
All right, one more on football, then we're going to have some more fun.
Yep.
Everything that's gone well, and there's been an awful lot going well. I think the one thing that we would point out and say the pass defense, it's been a little tough, right? Like, it's not, no doubt, it's not where you guys want. I know that part of solving that problem is getting Arthur Maulet back on the football field, right? Like, we know that's the case. But can you, because we're dumb and everybody's got their opinion, like, it's the scheme, can you, like, give us any insight, like, hey, this is what I think it is and this is why we know we can fix it moving forward?
I mean, at the end of the day, it's just playing, complimentary football, bro. It's nothing special. We just have to communicate. We all have to be on the same page. We got to keep an umbrella on the defense, stop giving up the big plays, and then, we'll get back to playing Raven football. But until we do that, we're not going to be okay. So communication, keeping the umbrella on the defense, and just making plays, man, just getting back to the old Raven way. We played well, we just let some things, get in the way, miscommunication, fix that. We'll be fine.
Made a big play when it was needed. Marlon,
exactly.
Right?
Yeah.
It's good to win and have something to learn from. You never want to win and feel like, oh, well, we don't have anything to do.
Yeah, everything's
well,
perfect.
At least we'll get better this week, right? We have a lot to work on. So.
The Arthur Maulet Show is made possible by 1-800-GAMBLER. No-cost treatment now available for anyone wanting help with a gambling problem. All right, did either of you guys, or did anybody at the table? I don't think Rita did. I know I didn't. Either of you guys see the Joker 2? Did you guys?
Joker 2?
Does it even interest you in any way?
Nah,
it's getting panned. Like
I'm
it's
talking
getting
about Joker.
The new Joker.
The
Joker
movie. Yeah.
Yeah, I hadn't even seen a preview.
Really?
I didn't even know it came out.
Apparently
it's out and it's apparently bad.
Anybody see it? Did anybody see Joker this weekend?
No.
Oh boy.
No,
Oh
boy.
Oh, that is rough.
Yeah.
Okay, so I wanted to present it this way. So I don't even know what you like. Do you go to the movies much at all?
There's so much streaming now, man. You can kind of get movies for free. Well, I remember at one moment you can go on Twitter and get a whole movie.
Yep.
Yeah. You just never know now, man.
Now, I like going to the theater. Like, it's an experience. Like, kind of like a nostalgic feeling when you go, get some popcorn, get some candy, go to a movie. But I don't go often. Like, I've probably been once in the last 3 years. So.
I dig that, too. Do you remember, because, again, a lot of people that went to see this weekend left really disappointed. Do you remember a time you were, like, excited to go to a movie theater or something like that? And, like, you got there and you're like, yo, this you ever walked out? You ever?
Nah.
No, I never walked out.
I never walked out.
When I go to the movie theater, it's a two-way street for me, man.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? So I go for the movie, but also I go for the candy and popcorn.
Oh, so you don't bring your own in?
Oh, no.
Okay.
I see, like, I'm going for the the popcorn with jalapenos.
Oh.
Wait. What's that?
Popcorn.
Okay.
Like,
you know what
you put
Give you a little
jalapenos.
spice with the popcorn, with the
Never
butter.
tried that before.
Telling you.
Okay.
Telling y'all in the crowd, try it.
But
change your life.
Do they have jalapenos at the movie theater?
Yeah, because of the nachos. Because of the nachos.
Right.
I'm telling you, Glenn. I'm telling you.
You just put them in. You order a popcorn. You put butter in it.
I don't really try to go too crazy sloppy with the butter. You know what I'm saying? So I just, just throw them little jalapenos in there.
Ooh.
Okay.
I'm listening.
Interested. I'm interested.
My complaint is
so if the movies is good,
you don't even.
Oh, what a night.
Yeah. But even if the movie's bad, you still went out for popcorn and what's the go?
And honestly, even if the movie bad, man, you get the best sleep in the theater.
Yeah, for sure.
I don't fell asleep in so many movies.
Especially nowadays with the reclining chairs and like all that stuff.
Oh, see, Justice and I, we three of us at the table are parents. So Justice, you know a thing or two about this.
No, facts.
You're not sleeping. I can be so excited about it. I'm telling you, like looking forward to a movie all year, and I'll go see it. It don't matter. An hour in, I am. Nodding out.
I gotta go like at 1 p.m., 3 p.m. I can't do it.
Gotta be sunny outside.
Yeah, it gotta be sunny outside. I just can't do it.
The worst thing they ever did at movie theater is put them reclining seats in.
Facts.
Like it's game over. It's just game over.
We need some bar stools in there.
It ain't happening. All right, I want to give this one to everybody at the table. So, do you know Kev on stage on Twitter by chance? I know Rita does.
I'm not really a big.
He's a comedian.
He's a comedian. His name's Kevin Fredericks. He's very funny.
Yeah.
Okay.
Did a podcast this week. The topic was, what are the white people songs that black people like the most? Like legit
top 5
white people songs.
Glenn asked this question, not me. So I just want to put
Don't
that out
Stop
there.
Believing was like on the list.
Yeah, that's
like,
top 5 for
Absolutely.
Okay, do you have a few white people songs that like are go-tos for you?
I'm really bad with names, bro. But when the song comes on,
Can you sing it?
I can't sing it.
Okay, sing one.
I need the song.
Nah, you just say you can sing it, man. You know the words.
You know the words.
I need the song. I got to hear the beat, man.
Nah, you don't.
You got
any top?
I'm a white person. It's
what
all
I'm saying. Like, just like you have a category, we have the same category, right?
Okay,
So,
well, yeah.
So it's like, what would you expect to be in the top 5? And we'll give you a green light or...
Okay, I remember he definitely had Don't Stop Believing high on the list. He had, oh, God, now I wish I would have written this down. Now I'm put on the spot.
Ooh.
Give It Away by the Red Hot Chili Peppers.
Yes, anything Red Hot Chili Peppers got to be on there.
Yeah, for sure.
Okay,
Yes.
that was high on the list.
But that's the wrong song, though.
Okay, what's the song?
The right song is the one that's like, I don't really want to feel. That's the one. Like I did.
Under the Bridge.
Yes, thank you. That's what it's called, Under the Bridge.
That's the song.
See, like, I would have never been able to tell you the name of the song.
I didn't know it, but I knew how to sing it, though.
Since You've Been Gone by Kelly Clarkson?
No.
Okay, that was
quick.
quick.
I would probably never sing that in public. But I'll probably give it a head nod or two in the car.
Okay. You gotta play the song.
It's a nice melody.
I love that.
I'm just gonna be like, yeah, Kelly Clarkson. Let me throw that.
I'm a very white person, so I'm the wrong person to ask. Like, there's white people, and then there's me. Like, I am as white as it gets. Oh my gosh, I love that song. That song's a 10.5 for me. What a Fool Believes by the Doobie Brothers.
I don't know that.
If you heard it, you know it. You know it.
Yeah, man.
I haven't
We're kinda
heard
young.
of one song y'all said.
Yeah, I was about to say Justice is just like.
Justice, you got one? Do you have a white person song that you?
That's what I've been thinking over here. I don't know. I'm still trying to think about.
It's hard on names, man.
Sugar.
I suck with.
Sugar We're Going Down by Fall Out Boy was on the list. Okay, all right. I guess it's just me. I'll be over here by myself.
I have a list, but this is not my
Fall
show.
Out Boys was good though. They were good.
I went and saw them a couple months ago.
I got a list.
What's on your list?
What's on your list? Show.
What's on your list?
You know what I mean? So I could tell you.
What's
songs.
on your list?
You gotta have Take On Me. You gotta have that. You gotta have Do You Really Want to Hurt? Culture Club.
Yeah.
Gotta have that. What's the song that they play at the beginning of the Ravens games in the kickoff with the guitar?
You too. Where the Streets Have No Name, right?
Yes.
Thank you. Gotta have that.
Yeah.
You gotta have. Oh man, I just had one that slipped. But
they had Smells Like Teen Spirit by Nirvana on their list
I'll take
as well.
that. I'll take
just
Teen.
that
You gotta use.
guitar
gotta have
riff.
Teen Spirit.
This is a two-way street right now.
I'm like,
guys.
all this is going right over my head. I'm just looking at y'all like.
Yep, you're right.
I have a yacht rock playlist on my iTunes. So I mean, I do be indulging every now and again.
Ain't nothing wrong with that, man.
You know.
I tried. I did. I thought there was something there. I thought we can. It's what it is. All right, let's go to this.
All right, what's up?
We've done 3 shows now. We have not talked about greedy.
Oh, I mean, it's just something that, it's a funny story, actually. A lot of guys called me in the league when I first came into the league, like Mark Ingram, Marcus, like when I was in New Orleans or whatever. But when I first got to the league, they started calling me greedy because when I was in junior college, I told them a story. I was in JUCO. And I would have to literally get meals from Friday to Sunday. So I would always, like, be by the cafeteria, you know what I'm saying, messing around with the cafeteria ladies. And they were like, are you always greedy? And so, like, everybody called me it through college. And obviously the way I play, like hungry, starving, you know, balls to the wall, excuse my French, you know what I'm saying, play with a passion. So, yeah, it just stuck with me.
So greed means multiple things. It could be a literal sense of, eating, but it also means from a professional perspective that you want more. Okay.
Why this the first time I'm hearing that?
Because,
I didn't know y'all think they greedy.
It's like 8 years, bro. Been in the league a long time, man.
You forget to inform your boys.
You've stuck with it, though. Like, it means something to you, clearly. It's part of your identity, isn't it?
100%.
And, like, there's obviously something.
I just be calling you Art. I be like, yo, Art.
You can start calling me that. I might extend my years in the league 4 more years.
Yo, that might be the case. Yeah. All right, last one for this segment.
What's up?
LeBron and Bronny got to play together for the first time over the weekend. Could you imagine what that dynamic would be like if, like, you were on a team with a dude and their dad? Like, could you even imagine what that would feel like in the locker room?
For me to do that, I got to play 1, 2,
27 years. You got no kids.
You got to literally play 20.
Yeah, it really can't happen in football, right? Like, it can't.
I mean, if you were Tom Brady, you could. Yeah, I was going to say, if you were Tom Brady.
A quarterback can do it.
Yeah.
I'm starting to think Joe Flacco is going to play till he's 60. I'm starting to think
I know that
dude.
one child is about to go to high school, it feels like, so it's possible.
So me and the buddies was talking. It's so funny you bring up Joe Flacco. We were talking about that yesterday, and they were like, man, why is Joe Flacco always good when he comes in as a backup? And I was like, bro, you have to understand the practice squad that he went against every day. He went against Ray Lewis, Ed Reed, all these greats. And then he gets out there on Sundays, and everybody be like, oh my gosh, Joe Flacco looks so good. I'm like, bro, he practiced against one of the best defenses of all time every day in his career. So these young guys, the looks that they're showing him, he's just laughing like, haha, I'm going to throw over here anyway. It's like, it looks good. Like, so, shout out to Joe Flacco who's still doing it good,
Absolutely.
man.
Yeah, it's tough. In this, we love Lamar. There will be no Joe Flacco slander in this city. We will not accept any of that.
Anybody that brings a ring, absolutely
not. That's the way it goes. All right, we are out here at Mother's North Grill in Timonium. Don't forget Project Game Day, every game day. Myself, Rita, Femi Ayambadejo, Super Bowl champion, and the whole crew, PressBoxOnline.com/game-day after every game this season. We come back in. We're going to talk a little bit more about Justice getting the extension, and then we're going to look ahead to this Sunday and a big one against the Commanders. That's on the way. It is the Arthur Maulet Show.